legal means of entry into America better now. And here's what I'll ask you about Donald Trump, since you said you supported Donald Trump, because he's good at addressing undocumented entry into America. Can you name a single policy that he's ever ran on, implemented, or advocated Congress to implement to address the legal means of entry into America to make them better now, insofar as addressing the root cause of undocumented entry, which we just agreed on?
Yeah, so what you're doing right now is you're saying the best way to reduce long-term illegal immigration is to allow more legal immigrants to come in. Is that correct, to make the process easier?
Yeah, I'm saying that the best way to
Yeah.
address undocumented entry into America is to address the root cause of undocumented entry into America. And we agreed that's
Yeah.
what the root cause is.
Yeah, but you're saying that the only solution is going to be to open up legal immigration and allow more to come in because there's more people
Wait,
who
whoa, whoa,
want
whoa,
to
whoa,
come
whoa,
in.
whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, now you're equivocating between the word best and only. Okay, maybe I think that the best flavor of ice cream is chocolate. Does that mean
Okay,
that
yeah.
the only
I
flavor of
apologize.
ice
Yeah,
cream is
best.
chocolate?
No, sorry, best. My bad. But you think that's the best way to overall stop the illegal migration crisis?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Common sense. The best way to address undocumented entry into America in the long term and now is going to be to address the root cause of undocumented entry into America in the long term and now. I mean, this is something that we believe in like a million other senses. You know, like what
Yeah,
is going to be the best way to address like a DRUG epidemic in America? Well, it's going to be
yeah,
to attempt to
yeah.
eliminate
Well,
the root cause or incentive for individuals to fall to behest of the epidemic. What is going to be the best way to address maybe the root cause of a recession in America? Well, it's going to be to address and fix the root cause of the recession in America. Maybe it's a shortage in labor, so then we incentivize more individuals participating in the labor force by subsidizing, our producers into paying higher wages, right? I mean, so I feel like the logic would thereby track that maybe the best way to address undocumented entry into America now and in the long term is going to be to address the root cause, which is what we just agreed on: slow, neglected, and depraved legal means of entry.
yeah, I think that's a valid point. However, I feel like it kind of falls short to, let's say we look at another country like Switzerland, for example. There are a lot of people who want to immigrate to Switzerland, but they don't just open up their entire immigration. So what it could do is fundamentally worsen the country as a whole. While you might say that the economic impact of more immigrants would better the country, if we look at it at a per capita basis, the overall amount of money that the immigrants bring in would lower the per capita um, GDP per person inside the country, which would overall worsen the quality of living. And let me finish real quick. What I feel like is overall a better way to kind of halt illegal immigration is not just opening up more legal immigration, because that can overall worsen the quality of. I saw someone in the chat say, go to Switzerland, they can't live there, they can't get citizenship easily. That's the hard part. They can travel there. It's open, but you can't just get citizenship. I'm talking about citizenship. Anyways, fundamentally, let's say that we're talking about stopping illegal migration. I feel like the best way to do that would not be to just open up full legal migration to make them come in legally, because that can stop other problems. Yeah, I'll let you speak in about 15 seconds. Give me a second. I feel like the better ways would just be to not only secure the border, but lower illegal migration, because there's problems that come with mass migration, whether it be legal or illegal. So I feel like it could be both ways. They would both technically work in lowering illegal migration. I just feel like one has more problems than the other, if you
For,
know what I'm talking about.
For sure. So I'm going to respond to the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
part of what you just said. So you're basically saying, you didn't really answer the question because the question
What was the
was,
question then?
yeah, what would be
Yeah.
the best way to, reduce undocumented immigration into America now
Oh
and in
yeah,
the
I
long
can I
term
can
be
I can list a couple.
to fix the legal means of immigration into America now? And the response that you gave wasn't to affirm or deny the fact that that would be the best way to reduce undocumented entry, but rather to say, maybe if we did, improve the legal means of entry into America, that would reduce the quality of life in America. And we could talk about that, but I would like just to point out, since you said that you're a professional debater, you're kind of writing these things down,
Not
that isn't a
not
direct answer to
professional.
the question.
No, not professional. I'm competing at nationals. I do that for a while. However, I'm not amazing at it. I've just qualified. Prelim starts tomorrow, so just trying to get a bit of practice then.
Okay,
But not like,
I'll help you out.
yeah,
I'll help you out
yeah.
because
Thank you,
I'm
thank
gonna
you,
be
thank you.
like
Yeah,
super fucking formal about this. Then,
thank you. Yeah,
something to point out. If this was a formal debate, that wouldn't have been an answer to my question, because my question
yeah.
wasn't, well, if we were to say the best way to reduce undocumented entry now in the long term was to open up more legal entry, would that reduce the quality of life for individuals in America? But the question was rather, would this be the best solution to reduce undocumented entry into America now and in the long term, regardless of the impact that this would have on the qualities of life of individual in America?
Okay, yeah, but if I do, for example, say yes, it would technically stop that. Like you could say the exact same thing
Great, great.
with
Now you're cooking. Now you're saying yes, this would be the
yeah,
best
yeah,
way
yeah.
to reduce undocumented entry into
Technically,
America
yeah,
now in
yeah,
the long term.
yeah.
But
Can I
if we were
elaborate
to
on
do
that?
this, but if we were to do this, it would reduce like the quality of life of individuals in the
Yeah, there's
countries.
other
And then
problems
you
that come
gave
with it.
right, and then you gave the example of Switzerland. So let's talk about that real quick.
Can I real quick address what you said though before you go on, just because I don't want to forget all that real quick.
Of course.
It'll take about 20 seconds. Yeah, yeah. Sorry for cutting you off there, but you say that that's going to be the best cause. Yeah, but you could say the exact same thing for the best way that we can get out of war with. Let's say we're in war with a country. Let's say we're in war with Canada. The best way to get the United States out of Canada is to dissolve the United States. Then we're not in war with Canada. Like you can say that dissolving the issue by opening up complete legal migration, so it's easier to come legally than illegally, would stop the problem. However, that doesn't help the country at all. It would stop the problem, but just create more. That's what I'm saying right
I
now. Why
agree.
that
No,
is
I agree.
fundamentally not a good solution. Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with what you're saying. You're
Okay,
giving
perfect. Yeah,
you're giving a good response, but now we just need to see if the response aligns with truth or doesn't
yeah,
align with
yeah.
truth. Now we need
Cool.
to do the test to see if more legal immigration into America would help
Okay,
America or
cool.
hurt America, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
would you say that we had a lot of immigration into America in the last 4 years?
Yes, and I feel like right now, are you talking illegal or illegal?
You
Legal or
know,
illegal
make it
immigration?
harder on me. Tell me one way that undocumented immigrants in America have hurt the American economy in the last 4 years.
Yeah, so overall, one easy way is about crime rates. Typically, legal immigrants commit more crime per person. I'm not saying they all commit crime, but they commit more crime. They're not all committing crime. I said that per person, on average, they commit more crime, which causes more economic damage than legal migrants do. And that's because they go through less of a vetting process and there's more issues that way. Yeah, you
Okay,
can talk real quick and address that. Yeah.
that's not true. So PNAS is an organization that's been operating in America since the 19th century, tracking crime rates amongst illegal immigrants, natural U.S. born citizens, and undocumented immigrants. Undocumented immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes in America, 3 times less likely to commit property crimes, and 4 times less likely to commit petty crimes when compared to natural U.S. born citizens. So your claim that undocumented immigrants are more likely to commit crimes or increase per capita crime rates is empirically false.
Cool. I actually didn't know that. I thought I've heard that quite a bit. So that's my apology. But I think there still are other ways that economically
For sure, the name
it's
them.
still worse. Yeah, yeah. So one, it could increase wage suppression. Let's say if there's a job that illegals would be willing to take for overall less money. This happens multiple times. Then the employer would typically hire them over somebody else, which is lower wage. I believe it was a Harvard economist. I'm forgetting his name, but he found that immigration reduced wages for U.S. high schools, high
You
school dropouts specifically, by about 7%. I could look that up real quick.
You don't need to convince me of this because you're right. I agree with you. This is the
Yeah,
one issue with
yeah,
undocumented immigrants in America is that yes, they are more
yeah.
likely to accept lower wages, which can lower overall wages. However, why is that the case and how can we fix it? Okay. Can we agree that the reason undocumented immigrants are more likely to accept lower wages when compared to natural US born citizens or legal immigrants is because they have less bargaining power on average when compared to legal immigrants or natural US born citizens due to the fact that they don't have residency or citizenship and thereby it makes it easier for their employer to exploit their labor, as well as like a billion other factors such as like long-term survivability in the market. You know, they could be deported tomorrow, they don't know, etc. Or like for whatever the miscellaneous reasons are, because of their undocumented status, because they're not a resident or a citizen, they'd be more likely to accept lower wages, making exploitation on behalf of the employer easier.
So that's a valid point with you saying that they have less, what is it, less bargaining power.
Mhm.
But that can also just fundamentally be to the fact that if there's more, it's supply and demand. If there's more labor with more people coming to the country, then overall, when millions of workers enter a sector, it's going to cause a rightward shift inside the labor supply curve, which would overall result. Yeah,
So
talking
then,
quick, I'll go on. Yeah,
so then
and go on.
why don't we see that legal immigrants have lower wages on average? Because if it's just about labor entry into the
Oh,
market, we would expect legal immigrants to have
well,
lower
no,
wages on average.
no, because when we allow legal immigrants to come into the country, it's at a set rate that allows not only businesses to grow at that rate, so we need more workers, but it's at a rate that makes it so there's a spiral out of command. It's like look at inflation, for example. Inflation on its own, depending on the rate, if it's a small rate, is not a bad thing because you need more money into the supply for more people. However, if we allow significantly more people to come in at the same time with less businesses growing, it's going to result in too much supply of workers, which will lower um, overall wages in a sector. So here's an example, real quick. Um, let me let's say for example, if I own a agriculture business where I'm hiring people on my farm, and every year I expand it by 20%, and the U.S. allows 20% of new workers, and those are false numbers, but that's roughly the same idea of what it is. They allow 20% new workers in, so I can hire 20% new workers at 20% more farm. I'm going to consistently expand my farm at 20% of the rate, but if they allow 80% more workers in, that's going to make it so that I have significantly more workers to choose from, so I can lower the wages for the workers, try and get the best wage that, or try to make the most money I can by paying the lowest wage. So if there's more people with less demand
Yeah,
for
for
like
sure. Just
jobs or
just more
working, yeah,
competition within like the
yeah,
available labor force. That's going to lead to
yeah,
lower wages on average. Point number
yeah.
one. Point number one. This doesn't necessarily address the argument that this is all consequential of, which was a conversation if we were to incentivize more legal entry. Is it the case that this would produce any negative economic outcomes? If you're arguing that, well, if we were to simply promote legal entry, we'd be able to control the influx and inflow of individuals coming into the economy. That this would be separate and distinct from unregulated, undocumented entry into the labor force, meaning that this wouldn't be an issue with the original claim that I made. And point number two, does this mean that you'd hypothetically support limiting the birth rates of U.S. citizens, given the fact that there's a hypothetical limit on the birth rate of U.S. citizens, which would then have negative economic implications due to too many laborers and too little employers?
Yeah, so I feel like the way that birth rates are different. This is the first thing you said, right? I just want to address the first thing first. Um, I feel like birth rate is different because when someone's born, they have about 16 to 18 years before they actually enter into the workforce. And when during that time where they have those 16, I would say 18 years before they enter the workforce, businesses know, okay, this is the amount of population we're working with, this is the amount of people who we can employ, and the businesses have time to grow at that rate to know what's going to happen. Let's say, for example, we just immediately allow 4 million migrants in who are of working age, of working quality, and are able to work. The businesses do not have time to adapt to that. And not only that, those are just a high influx of workers. And if there are more children, then people are like, okay, cool, I can expand this business. There's more customers, more workers, and it's overall going to be better because the impact on the labor force is long term and gradual. And
Okay.
overall, mass legal
Yeah,
migration is kind of the
I hear what you're
opposite.
saying.
Their impact's immediate.
But
Yeah.
then the other side of the coin and the point that you're making is that this just means that we see a higher labor force participation rate amongst undocumented immigrants in America, since more of them are of working age. Since they're not being born into the country, they're coming into the country of working age already. Okay, and what this means
Yeah,
for
but
the American
that would
economy is
lower
that they're more.
wages.
But what this means for the American economy is that they're more productive on average when compared to citizens, since they're more likely to participate in the labor force. And this is why we see, although undocumented immigrants account for like maybe 2 or 3%, if even, of the overall American the overall amount of individuals in the country, they account for close to 6% of the labor force. And this is why, if we were to deport them all tomorrow, the Center on American Progress would indicate that this would reduce GDP growth by anywhere from 1.1 trillion to 1.7 trillion dollars per year. And if your overwhelming argument here is, well, maybe one one smaller implication of like a lot of immigration into America at once is going to be that this would
Yeah.
reduce overall wages. I would actually argue that we would see better wage growth given more immigration into the economy, because although the argument that you're making right now is true, I just say that there's more pros than cons, which would be indicative of higher qualities of life, better wage growth due to a more productive economy, and a GDP that is growing at a larger rate. So like the reason why I'd say that is, although you can indicate that this may introduce more competition in the overall labor market, well, when like we have more individuals working in the labor market, such as the 8.3 million undocumented immigrants that are personally paying 400 to 500 billion dollars into the GDP, with their overall productivity accounting for 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollars annually, paying over 100 billion dollars in taxes, we have a more productive economy that's making more goods and selling them to more people. And I mean, just what we've seen from that is expedited GDP growth, like more dominance in like global markets. You know, America's more towards the center, putting America first, galvanizing our industries and so on. So I'd say that the pros outweigh the cons, and for that reason, although that we would have a slight downward pressure on average wages because of more individuals coming into the labor market at once, there'd just simply be more upward pressure due to all the like facts in which I just listed.
Okay, so I'd like to make sure I got what you said right. You said that the first thing you said was that the overall GDP growth with the more migrants and more legal immigrants coming into the country will overall raise the GDP to enough an amount, raise the economy to that overall in the long term wages will rise in the future, right?
Yeah, and like maybe this is why, like, would you say that we had like mass immigration into America in the last 4 years?
Illegal or legal?
Both.
Illegal, I feel like we've had pretty mass immigration. Numbers range from 9 to 13 million,
Right.
depending on the
Right,
source.
right,
And then,
but yet we had a steadily increasing real median wages, like
yeah,
accounting
but
for
it
like the
wasn't
mass inflation
okay.
onset by the
Okay,
pandemic. And I mean like
that's
mass
kind of a red
immigration as
herring,
you're
though.
describing, you know,
Not
we
a red
saw like
herring.
a macro increase in real wages.
You said, not a red herring, I said the wrong thing, but you said that overall wages increased. Yeah, but compared to inflation, wages actually stagnated and actually decreased
No,
slightly.
that was
If you look
that
at,
was real. Those real median wages, according to Fred, which is the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis.
I want to look this up. I'll go to fact check. Sorry, give me like 10 seconds. I'm just going to look up wages
Yeah, real median wages.
from
Real median wages.
2020 to 2024 percent rise.
Just look up. I
One
mean, you
second.
could see like an interactive graph. Just go on Google, type in real
Yeah,
median
that's what I'm typing in.
wages U.S.
I'm clicking on the first thing. I'm just going to go to Statista. If that's fine, I can't find the thing that you found. It
Fred,
said that.
I'm looking at Fred median wages right here. You could go like
What do
quarterly
you
or
what do you want
annually.
me to
See if
search
there's
up?
adjustment. Fred, Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis.
Red Federal Reserve St. Louis, and then what after that? It was medium wages.
Hmm. Yeah, we saw like a steady increase following the outcome of the pandemic, with like a slight decrease in the Q1 of 2024, but then increased again.
Yeah, but if you overall look at it from before the pandemic slightly from about 2019, which was the ends of Trump term, if you look at it from the pandemic's part and adjusted with inflation, it's overall slightly down or stagnant, which you can say
No, I don't believe that. So
is
the reason why I don't believe that is because if you're on Fred right now and you're looking at employed full time median usual weekly real earnings,
the
16 and over. I mean, what we see that the median real weekly earnings of somebody in like, let's see, Q4 of 2019 was $362. I mean, like we were able to we like stagnated at like the bottom of the pandemic at 363 real dollars. So I mean, even when the economy started to grow again after the outcome of the pandemic, we still had higher real median weekly wages than the last quarter
no,
of
but that's not
2019
showing a percentage.
at like
Are
percentage
you sure?
growth.
Or is this
So yeah, okay, so yeah, I'm looking at real median weekly
is
wages,
this
and then
source
you're looking
talking
at
about?
percentage growth. I mean,
No,
even like
I can't
the
find the. It took me to a website where it's took me to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and I don't know which one to click on. What's the full title of it?
yeah, employed full time median usual weekly earnings, wages and
Okay,
salaries.
I found that one. Cool. So that's adjusted for real wage and slight inflation.
Yeah, so it's real, which means it's not nominal, which means it's adjusted for inflation.
Okay, so your overall claim was the fact that in hold on, I don't remember. Let
Yeah.
me get on my
No,
Google
my
Doc.
overall
Said
claim was that
in the long term,
we
overall
just saw an
GDP
increase
growth.
in real median wages under the Biden Harris administration.
Yeah, but that's assuming. I want to ask you: do you think that overall immigration numbers, if you combine legal and illegal immigrants, which would be about, let's just say, even 14 million with 4 million per year legally, and then about 10 coming in illegally, it'd be about 14 million. Do you think that if we allow just everyone who wants to come in legally, that it'd be under or over that?
Under or over what?
Under or over 14 million in a 4 year span?
I don't know.
I'd say over, considering there are more people who are waiting on the U.S. immigration list and people who came in illegally. So I feel like the overall results of that would be worse. If you look at the term
wait, I'm
from
sorry, maybe I didn't hear your question right. Was your question just if we like made it easier to legally enter into America, would we see more people come into America?
would if we made it easier to
Yeah, for
legally
sure.
immigrate to
Because
America?
there'd
Yeah,
be less
yeah. But
barriers to
I
labor
was
entry into the
asking.
market.
Yes, hold on. We agreed that 14 million people came in during Harris's and Biden's 4 year term,
I mean,
correct? Legal and illegal.
I don't mind assuming whatever numbers you want to. I think that
Yeah,
different sources indicate different things. I usually just go with whatever the guest says.
yeah. So I'm just guessing 14 million. That's relatively conservative. So if we guess 14 million with the amount of people who are on the immigration waiting list, the amount of people who have tried to come in illegally,
I mean,
I believe that number would be higher.
yeah, just less barriers to entry. More
Yeah.
people are going to enter.
Yeah,
Sure.
so there'd be more people who came in during the 4 year span. I believe that if you look at the exact same source that you cited from Trump's 2016 term, wages actually increased a significant amount right before COVID, and it was a higher percentage rate than
Oh,
Harris's term.
you're talking about Q1 of 2020 to Q2 of 2020. So I mean, that's when
No,
like
no, no.
these real median.
I'm skipping the COVID era. I'm skipping the COVID era. I'm just saying
So then what's
that
the
the overall
increase
net point.
what's the increase that you're looking at
Look,
from
look,
like what quarter of what
look.
year to what
So
quarter of what year?
look. So from Q1 of 2017, which is when Trump took into office, I believe, right?
Hmm.
We agree on that.
Sure.
Cool. It dropped a little bit, and then it came up into right about COVID times. I'll stop about Q1 of 2020. just because it spiked right there at COVID, just to be generous. The amount that it increased over that time is slightly higher than the amount that it increased from 2022 to 2024, where Kamala Harris came out of office. I feel like the amount of percentage increase went down. So while wages technically went up overall, the percentage that they went up by was less than the percentage that Trump's went up by with less immigration.
I don't know. Let me calculate it.
Yeah, you can go ahead. I'm just looking at the chart. I'm kind of roughly estimating those numbers.
Yeah, for sure. We'll estimate it.
Yeah. And I'm taking them from the low points in both of theirs, so Q4 2017 and then Q2 2022, just so we don't have any huge jumps that come from COVID or different things that have happened.
Let's see here. $95.
That'd be 359 to 375.
So 4.4% increase. Then Q1. 352. Yeah, there's a 4.4% increase in real median wages under the Biden-Harris administration, with a 2.8% increase in real median wages under Donald Trump's first term, meaning there's actually a higher percentage change in real median wages under Biden and Harris compared to Trump, excluding COVID. So you're wrong. Wow. Okay, yeah. We just did the math together, so I'd assume that you'd concede there, right?
Turned it on my end. I'm just kind of looking visually because I haven't calculated that up. What'd you calculate it from? I just want to check your calculations real quick.
Q2 of 2022 to Q4 of 2024, and Q1 of 2017 to Q4 of 2019.
Yeah, that's not the thing I asked you to calculate, though. I took away the dips and things from both of their things because you can say that it dipped significantly during the Harris administration due to COVID, and you can say it also dipped at the start of the Trump administration. So I'm taking it from both of their dips, just because of economic impacts that have happened out of their control.
Oh, why? So why would we calculate it from Q4 2017 instead of Q1 2017?
Huh?
Why would we calculate it from Q4 2017 instead of Q1 2017?
Are you asking the same thing of why I did it for both of them?
Yeah, like why would we do that?
Oh, yeah,
at
that was
Q4
mainly, I believe, because
2017 compared to Q1.
2017. I think it was mainly just because there's a lot of hurricanes. For example, Harvey, I think, hit in 2017. That caused some economic distraught inside America, namely the South region. I live in Texas, so I was directly hit by Harvey.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it'd be more fair to say, like, let's just ignore the we'd have to ignore the rebound of the dip because we'd assume that's also outside of their control. And I mean, like, when the dip finished from COVID, that was what it was at prior to COVID. So, and we wouldn't go from Q4 of 2017 under Donald Trump's first term. We would actually go from like Q2 of 18, which was synonymous to Q1 of 2017. So actually, no, I think that we could use Q1 of 2017 because the real number is going to be synonymous with what it was after the rebound, right? In fact, because after it rebounded from the dip caused by the hurricanes, it was synonymous to what it was before the rebound, which was Q1 of 2017. And honestly, I mean, if we even took it from Q2 of 2017, because real median wages had increased a little bit, we would and then treated that as like the point of destruction caused by the hurricanes. We'd be comparing it to Q3 of 2018, which would then show a smaller percentage increase in real median wages under Donald Trump's first administration. So, I mean, this point doesn't help you.
No, I think that's a valid point. I'll admit that I'm probably wrong on that. However, you could also say that wages didn't technically increase the same amount. I'll concede that. I'll be honest. I was listening to stream for about 45 minutes before. It was really annoying watching people who voted for Trump, who were kind of just on here almost.
You want to pause, so I can't hear you when you're on pause.
I'm on pause.
Now you're back. I could only hear you if you could see me.
Oh, yeah, I can see you. Anyways, it was kind of weird and dumb seeing the Trump supporters on stream who was kind of just, even if they were proven wrong, they just kind of sat here and said they were right. I don't condone that. Anyways, I feel like that can also be slightly negated. While real wage GDP growth, from what I just looked up, was 0.4% higher under Biden. We could also look at under Biden was like other prices that have gone up significantly. So while wages might have risen in a real sense, accounting for inflation, accounting for some other big things like housing, namely, overall,
Um,
I feel like the net impact
re-
was overall worse. And you could say
real
more people would
means
be
real means accounting for inflation.
inflation.
Nominal
Yes, which I'm saying.
nominal means not accounting for inflation. So what you just said
Yes.
was
And
looking at
no, no,
wages accounting for inflation. If we account for inflation, it would have been lower.
I don't think that's what I said. I said Biden's accounting for inflation, real numbers, had, I believe, a 4.4 increase in real wages going up. However, I feel like that could be negated not by inflation, by other big prices like housing costs primarily, which would also go up if there were more people trying to buy less houses. And you can also look at that in a sense of private
Wait,
equity like
wait.
BlackRock
That's
buying up small homes.
that's what inflation is.
What? Say again?
You just said it again. If we look at wages accounting for inflation, if we account for inflation, wages accounting for inflation would have been lower.
No, no. I'm saying that specific things that are technically included in the inflation calculation, including housing, yes.
Right. So, like, wouldn't
Yes.
the
No, no, no.
increase in housing already be included within the calculation of real median wages as displayed by the Fed?
Technically, yes, but there are other small things that went down in prices that slightly negated that, which takes away the overall effect of housing. So I can look up a couple things of
Like
examples if you'd
then
like.
the price of like the things that went down. I mean, well, that's just reality. That's just like reality. That's what we would do, right? Right? Like for instance, if the price of gas went slightly down, but the pricing of houses went slightly up, it's a fact of reality that would have
No,
slightly
yeah, that's
negated the difference that was seen in the increasing of houses. Like that's just reality, you know? Like why would we like only account for the price of things that go up but not account for the pricing of things that went down? Like that's what we
no,
should
I'm
do.
saying that, but it was the inflation calculations that were done. I believe there's a study on this. I could look it up right now, but I believe it said that the inflation calculations that were done included things that in numbers were technically high enough, but in overall demand that people bought them were lower. So an example of that would let's say corn, for example, there's a ton of corn in the country, but the overall amount of people who buy corn is lower, but everyone needs a house. So while housing prices might have jumped 30%, the price of corn might have gone down 90%, which kind of slightly negated the prices of houses. However, less people want corn than need a house. So overall necessity that you need in the country would get harder to get, if you know what I'm trying to say. I could
Um,
try and make that
I
sound a little bit better.
I don't know if I know like the exact point that you're making. Like typically like when we want to like account for inflation, we look at real median wages and we kind of take it as is. And like the moment when you start saying, well, like if we account for inflation twice for something that's already accounted for in like real median wages, like I'm like typically not going to be sympathetic to that take just because that's why we have the
No,
real median wages to begin
I
with.
kind of agree with that.
But you know, like maybe what I could say is, you know, like we did see a drastic increase in the pricing of houses. Housing is going to be like an essential good that people need. And like maybe this could explain like a slight increase in like real median wages.
Yeah, kind of what I'm trying to say
Like
is
maybe
you think
I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. But
yeah,
yeah, I
I
mean,
should rephrase that. I don't think I said that
if you want to make a last
properly.
point, that'd be fine. But I think after you make this point, I'm going to move on to the next guess.
Yeah, that's fine. For the last point, I kind of want to uh, just kind of say how I feel like overall allowing for total legal migration would overall harm the country slightly more than just stopping illegal migration. Because earlier on, you asked me how we would actually stop illegal migration or undocumented migration, whatever you want to call it. I'm fine being inclusive. I don't really care about that stuff. Um, and you asked me about other ways that we could stop that. And I feel like a couple of the ways that we could overall, um, hold on. Wait, did you ask whether like ways that we could stop illegal migration or whether or not legal migration is overall good in numbers?
Well, I mean, I think that the
I forgot what you
conversation,
asked earlier.
I think that the conversation that we've been having has just been about if immigration is a net benefit or net detriment to the American economy. And I mean, like, just to kind of respond to what you just said, you know, I agree that there's going to be a hypothetical point where immigration serves as a net detriment to the American economy. However, I don't think that we've ever reached that point, and I don't think that we're anywhere near it. And I think all the immigration that we've seen is definitely been helpful to the American economy for the reasons that I've granted. I think immigration is what built America into the most robust and strongest economy on the face of this planet. And you know, I think that you know there will eventually maybe be a time to have a conversation about what should the caps on immigration be? But I think that conversation is a very long time away.
Yeah.
And in a conversation that is specifically being held to demonstrate that there is policy that is more effective at reducing undocumented entry by addressing its root cause, which is slow, neglected, depraved legal means of entry, not because, or I guess what I should say, keeping in mind that the legal means of entry have not been neglected because of some promise of better economic performance, but rather because they've been used as political talking points by candidates to keep the issue persisting while rallying people to vote for them on the issue every 2 and 4 years. Is a conversation that I don't necessarily think includes
Hmm.
discussion about like what that hypothetical point of immigration would be into America, where it starts to serve as a
Yeah.
detriment to the economy.
Yeah, just to just finish off, I'd like to answer the question you asked really early on, which is just a couple of ways we could stop illegal migration, which you said the root cause was that, but I feel like there are other ways we could overall help. That is the last thing, and then I'll let someone else go on. But I feel like a couple of ways we could do that is number one, I think is one of the most important ones is increase the amount of immigration judges, just because the amount of time it takes to process a case is way too long. I think we'd both agree on that. Just a thumbs up for that would
Donald
be
Donald
great.
Donald Trump shot down the bipartisan border bill in the American Congress. Under the
No, no,
Biden-Harris administration,
I
that
have
would have increased the amount of
No,
judges on the southern border.
I have disagreements with that bill. You can there's one thing in that bill. There's a couple things that are good. There's more things that are bad. I can talk about that later because you want to finish the debate, which is
Right, for
fine. I'll
sure.
probably come back in a little bit. We can talk about that later because I feel like that's a different issue. However, I feel like number one, more immigration judges in a separate bill just on its own is a great thing that we could have to speed up cases and honestly lower fraudulent claims. In addition, uh, overall, I feel like closing asylum loopholes, which you can say asylum is a good thing and they're legal in the country, but when they're denied and they stay in the country, then they're considered not, they didn't come into the country illegally, they're still in the country illegally, which is something you addressed earlier. I feel like an additional thing that we can do is make it so that we can quickly deport individuals who like aren't able to prove things, not deportations in the sense that um, what they're doing right now, like let's say to Carmelo, what's his name? Carmelo Anthony, I think, or Abrego Garcia, where they were illegally deported. I believe that was something that was wrong. However, I believe that doesn't make the deportations a net bad. And I feel like overall, just ending catch and release by like detaining migrants until hearings or deporting them to like a safe third country while we hear their hearings out. And we can also just legalize like we can also just like modernize different systems like the visa systems, track overstays, and also like increase in things like immigration shift, for example. And then also to help foreign policy, we could do things like target root causes with aid or accountability, tie USA to like some anti-corruption things or gang reduction or whatever to help make it so less people want to immigrate. Because a lot of people immigrate due to issues in their countries. So we tie USA to those issues, fix those there that'll overall lower immigration, helping part of the root cause. And then also just kind of safe third country agreements, which would require people who would go to a different country that we make an agreement with before for their asylum case, not just their home country, which could be dangerous or violent. Go to a third country, or we're paying them to do that. That way, they don't go through the U.S. and come. So those are a couple solutions that I kind of have. They're a little spread out, a little broad. I haven't looked at that too much, but
I think the
yeah.
best solution,
Anyways,
for sure, I'm going to address it and I'll move on. I think the very
yeah,
best solution for
cool.
individuals that take advantage of the asylum seeking processes in America is to make the asylum seeking processes faster. We need to make them
Yeah, with more
faster.
judges. That I
Make
agree
them.
with that
We need to make them
fully.
significantly faster. And then about deporting
I do agree
individuals
with
that
that.
are ineligible. Well, I support mass amnesty, so I'm not going to support the deportation of anybody that hasn't committed prior violent offenses. And I'm sure that we could talk about that another time. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
Colin, I appreciate you for the conversation and have fun
yeah,
at
yeah.
nationals.
Thank you. It was great. And honestly, I've seen a couple clips of you. I've had from friends who dislike you. I think you're great with debate. So keep it up. While we disagree on some things, I feel like you're did a good, respectful debate. So thank you. I'll
Yeah,
probably be back later. But yeah,
I appreciate you for
hey,
the best conversation in months, man.
yeah, hey. For people in the chat, not every conservative is dumb. There are a couple of us who are a little bit more moderate. But yeah, thank you.
Of course, have a good one.
Hey, have a good one. Hey, thank y'all. Bye bye.
Now you keep applying that intelligence. Next thing you know, you'll be a liberal. Hell yeah! See that guy right there? He said he was 18. I would hedge every dollar in my bank account that by 20 years old he will be libbed the fuck out. But no, man, that was a good combo. That was a good combo. That was a really good combo. I appreciate that. It's good to have a good conversation every once in a while. And it was also like good faith. I mean, dude, I think in that conversation he made like 5 to 10 concessions, and I don't say that to like shit on him. I say that to say like that's great, man. You know, like he recognized that he was wrong about points and he conceded on the points. That was awesome. What is going on, Samuel? Are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
Cool. How old are you?
I am 23, and I've got my sister here. She's 21.
Hey.
Awesome. Well, real quick, I got to thank quite a few people for their donations. I don't think I've shouted out donations in about an hour because I was so hyper fixated on that last debate. So I'm going to get around to a few now that I may just intermittently stop and thank people. But first and foremost, Lee, thank you so much for the $50 donation over on PayPal. I really appreciate you for that, lovely. Let's get 500 Lee W's down below that comment section for the $50 donation over on PayPal. Thank you so much, Lee. Seriously, Lee, that is so incredibly kind. And I mean, that was a donation that came through an hour ago. I'm sorry for just thanking you now, but I was really focused on that last conversation. As well as Peyton with the $10 over on PayPal. I really appreciate you so much for the love, Peyton. And then I'll just get around to two more now, then I'll thank the rest here in a little bit. But Casey, 37 minutes ago with the $25 over on PayPal. Thank you for the love, Casey. Casey says, thank you for letting the debater practice. These kids work hard to get to nationals, so I'm glad you gave them a chance. Yeah, man, no shit, he's at nationals. He's pretty good. We'll have to get an update if he wins or not. But thank you for the $25 over on PayPal, Casey. I really do appreciate that. Shout out to you down below in that comment section. And then last one that I'll read off right now, Mark, thank you for the $18 over on PayPal. Saying awesome debate. This guy, and speaking about immigration, it's enjoyable to listen to. GG. Well, I appreciate you for the $18, Mark. Shout out to Mark, Casey, Peyton, and Lee down below in that comment section. Like I said, there's a handful more, but I'll get around to them kind of in the debate. So I'm not, just kind of like wasting everybody's time for 5 minutes here, quote unquote wasting. I really want to make sure that I thank every single person that donates to me. It means the world to me. Thank you, you guys. But no, it started. Take it away, Samuel and Samuel's sister. Why do you guys support Trump?
First of all, my name is Hannah. Just putting that out there.
Hannah, Samuel and Hannah.
So we are Christians, and so everything we have and everything we follow is based off of who we are as children of God. So first of all, I will ask that you be respectful of that because you tend to be very rude. So we're going to give you the respect that you deserve as a human. So we just ask that you give us the respect as well.
Hannah, as a child of God, you just called me rude. That was a judgment. Judges 2:1 explicitly condemn such judgments of others. So can you, as a child of God, walk said crude judgment back in accordance with the moral teachings of Judges 2:1?
I am not judging you as a person because we are all sinners. I'm pointing out the fact that you have been rude to some people. And so I was just asking for respect.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and just, let that violation of Judges 2:1 slip. We'll have a respectful, productive dialogue. Take it away, you guys.
So some of the things I've noticed that you said is you're trying to get people to admit that they would follow Trump no matter what. And I just want to say that if Trump did something completely out there, very liberal or something, of course I would not follow him. So
what's like a really bad thing that he could do that would make you stop?
I mean, if he
him?
completely switched what he supports, of course I would not. One of the things you talked about is if he wanted to ban the Constitution. Of course, I would not say, yes, follow Trump till the day I die. Because at the end of the day, he is a man, he is a human, and we are all flawed and we are all sinners. And so when it came to, you already did that, we're not reading it again.
But I thought you just said that's a red line that you'd hold against him.
He hasn't done that. So that doesn't mean anything.
Oh, so like if he actually tried like to severely erode the Constitution, ban it.
If he actually tried to do something like that.
He actually tried to just get rid of our civil and electoral processes in 2020 when he attempted to steal the election from Biden, and then he admitted to it in court. So he has actually tried to do this.
Like the way that Biden stole the election in 2020, actually, because there is a massive amount of voters who were dead, who still voted, plus that is the most amount of votes that any president in the United States has ever gotten. And that's not really possible.
Okay, how many dead voters voted?
I don't know. I just know that they did.
How do you know that they did?
Because my grandpa, who is dead, voted.
Did he die after November 5th?
No, he's been dead for 20 years.
And how do you know that he voted?
Because my grandma got a letter saying that he voted.
You don't get letters after you vote.
Well, he did.
What? Can you show us the letter?
I can't turn on my camera.
We also don't have the letter on us.
Yeah. That's another good point.
Okay. Well, how about this? If it was taken by Biden, also we gotta say taken, not stolen. You'll just get an account ban. It won't be pretty. If it was taken by Biden, okay, explain to me why Donald Trump spent millions of dollars on an electoral integrity committee to find any and all evidence of widespread taking fraud. You know what I'm talking about. We got to be very loose here with our terms. And then he took all the evidence they found to 63 hand-picked courts. And every single one of those courts told him that he didn't even have enough evidence to open a case. It was a waste of their resources.
I can't give you an answer to that because I don't know.
Oh, would a possible answer be liberal activist judges?
No.
Okay, you're right, because 34 of them were appointed by Republicans. What's your response in that scenario? Would it be like rhinos, like Republicans that don't like Trump? No, because 16 of them were personally appointed by him himself. And, maybe your reason why Trump couldn't find any evidence here is because he was one man with a team. But, the American people know the truth. Okay, well, the culmination of the American people's effort to find absolutely any reason to believe that Biden took that election was the 2,000 Mules docu-mockery. Fun fact, the creators of that documentary went on record under oath in court saying that they had no evidence for what they said. So the whole idea that Biden took that election in 2020 is big lie propaganda propped up by the big tyrant himself, Donald J. Trump. The only reason you believe it is because he said it for 4 years straight with the utmost conviction and confidence in his breath. Now, I think that is very damaging, and one of the many reasons why we shouldn't like Trump, because he's tried to convince people that we shouldn't trust our elections just because he lost, not because there's any evidence.
Okay.
Oh, and then you just got the flag for the civic and electoral integrity. So we got to move on from that topic. I'll take the okay as you kind of accepting that loss, and that's fine. Now we can move on. You got gagged, you didn't have a response, and now we'll move on because TikTok is forcing us to. I totally took that violation. I took that violation on the chest just because I wanted to be able to respond to those silly, silly claims. Very, very silly claims. Oh my God. Yo, okay, I'm going to thank a couple more. Emily with 13 minutes ago with the $50 over on PayPal. Let's get 500 Emily W's down below in that chat. Emily says, thank you for all that you do. You are awesome. I appreciate you for that love. Emily, seriously, let's get 500 Emily W's down below and 200 Barbara W's down below. Now, Barbara says, with the $20 donation over on PayPal in all caps, keep on doing what you're doing. I'm so proud to have you on our side. Keep educating the masses. Barbara, I love you. That is so incredibly kind. Guys, show some love to Emily and Barbara down below in that chat right the fuck now. Now, of course, there's also a lot of Venmo donations that I haven't gone around to from the last hour and 10 minutes because of that last discussion. And I want to make sure that I get around to those too, but I want to also let the guests talk. So we're just going to thank Emily, Barbara, and Bethany right now. So show some love to Emily, Barbara, and Bethany down below in that chat. Now, back to you guys. That last conversation kind of found its natural end.
Okay, wait. I just want to say that I will gladly admit that we are not the most super educated people. And so a lot of your word vomiting, we might need to catch up a minute, because I will admit we're not super duper educated. But your question is, why do you support Trump? And you have not really let us answer that. Oh,
okay. Okay, then answer it.
So, as a Trump supporter, like I said before, it's not necessarily who he is as a man. It is what he represents and a lot of what he supports, and he supports the Christians, and I think that's very important because that is what we were founded on. And
don't say that.
Well, it is.
Don't really? You think that?
Under God, one nation under God.
Wait, so America was founded in 1957 because that's when "quote unquote" one nation under God was added to the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's in the Pledge of Allegiance.
It was added in 1957. So was America founded in 1957?
It doesn't matter. That is one of our core values. That is what America was founded on. Could
I give you really good reason to believe that we weren't founded on Christianity?
You can try, but you won't change my view.
Well, when our country was founded, only white men that owned property could vote. And if you were a woman, a white man without property, and that especially black individuals in America, you just simply weren't looked at as the same. And as it related to black individuals, you were looked at as subhuman. And as it related to women, you were looked at as subservient servants, basically. So are those the Christian ideals that America was founded on?
No.
Okay. I had to kick you. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I really wish that they could have responded to that. I had to kick them because they actually got 3 flags for the election thing. And if I got one, if it happened again, I would have had the live taken down. So unfortunately, I had to kick them. I do apologize, everybody. I know that sucks. I really wish I could have had a conversation with them. I had to kick them. They would have got the live taken down if I didn't. All right. Once again, I really appreciate everyone so much for the love on PayPal in the last hour. I also want to be able to thank the people that have shown love on Venmo in the last hour. So let's go ahead and start off real quick, really quickly here with Sid. This was an hour ago. I really hope that you're still in here. Thank you for the $50 over on Venmo. Saying I got called a terrorist by my MAGA cousin last night, but we ended up agreeing that Donald Trump is a liar. I'm sorry that you got called a terrorist, but I mean, at least you got a concession from your cousin. Let's show some love to Queen Sid down below in that chat. That is SYD, guys. Let's give 500 Sid W's down below right the hell now. Now there's once again a lot of other people over there, but I want to start the next debate. What is going on? Jesus Christ is coming back. Are you MAGA?
No, I'm not.
Okay, goodbye. We're just looking to have some conversations with people that support Trump, so we're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone, just give us a minute to get that next guest, Christy, up in that box. While Christy is loading in, show some love to Sid and Bruce Wayne! Mr. Wayne is back in the building! Saying, I know your focus is converting people to be MAGA with facts. And then there was a second half of the donation, so I'm going to go ahead and load it up. They said, I know that your focus is converting MAGA people with facts. Being Pride Month, what about a session of debate with homophobes who think that being gay is wrong? Dude, Wayne, I used to have conversations exclusively with people that thought being gay was wrong. If you've been watching my streams for a longer time, you know that we used to run streams on that all the time. And I'd love that. I would love to do that so much. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and open the window for that. So, I mean, if you're watching the live, hop in the queue if you support Trump or if you think that being gay is wrong. I would love to throw in a couple conversations about that. But, dude, seriously, thank you for the $100. Let's show some love to Wayne down below in that chat. Let's get 1,000 Wayne W's down below. What is up, Christy? Are you MAGA?
I support Trump. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how old are you?
I am 25, 2000.
And Christy, why the hell do you support the man, the myth, the fraud, Donald J. Trump?
So I'm going to start with the borders, and I'm going to also go to...
Okay, all right. With all due respect, we've been talking about immigration for the last hour and a half, 2 hours. Do you want to start with something else?
You wanted to mention the gays?
Oh, do you think being gay is wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Let's talk about that. Why do you think it's wrong to be gay? You silly, silly goose.
I think it's wrong to be gay because we're created woman and man, and there shouldn't be any other genders out there as well.
Okay, so it's wrong to be gay if you're not a woman or man. So what if you're a man that's gay? What if you're a woman that's gay?
Okay, woman and men. It should be them together, not two women, not two men.
Okay, why?
Women are meant to produce, men are not. That's why a woman and man were made for each other.
For reproduction?
For reproduction, and that's our sole purpose. As women, we're made to reproduce.
Okay, wow. Okay, no, the sole purpose of women is not to be incubators for men. But we'll start off with your homophobia, then we'll go on to your internalized misogyny. But starting off on the homophobia, I can't believe you just said that. You think that being gay is wrong, two men being together is wrong because a man's supposed to be with a woman to reproduce. So let me ask you a question. Do you think it's morally wrong for me to marry a woman that's infertile?
No.
But I can't reproduce with her. And you said the reason why it's wrong for a man to marry a man is because they can't reproduce with one another. Logical implication there would be, no. The logical implication there would be, well, it'd be wrong for a man to marry an infertile woman since they also can't reproduce. But of course, you're not going to hold to that logical implication because your stance is illogical. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm infertile and I still believe I only belong to a man.
Okay, why?
Why? Because, yeah, we're meant to reproduce, but there's other ways. They created sciences for us to reproduce besides that. A girl infertile, they can have another woman, what's it called, carry their baby for them.
Oh, great. Just like a gay couple can have a surrogate mother as well.
Yes, they could, but that's not how it's supposed to be. Two
Okay, why?
men and two women. Because one, what is the purpose? And I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but what is the purpose of a penis and a vagina?
Okay, well, I mean, I think
You're
that
not
what you're
supposed to go
asking.
in other holes.
Okay. So now you're basically saying that it's wrong because the intercourse is you're using parts of your body against their intended purpose, right?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, you're saying that it's like butt sex is wrong because because you're using parts of your body against their intended purpose. Let me ask you a question. What is the intended purpose of lips?
You're supposed to eat with it. You're supposed to eat, show
and speak.
affection as well.
Eat and speak.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if the intended purpose of my lips is to eat and speak, when I give my girlfriend a kiss, I'd be violating the intended purpose of my lips. So is kissing my girlfriend just as bad as gay sex?
Like I also said, it's also okay. Like you're talking about pleasure in general. You get pleasure. You get pleasure. Obviously, anybody. If a woman did something to me, you could still get pleasure the same way as a man. That's the same thing. But your ideal is by pleasure based, so that's why you're using it. But it's not the real purpose of woman and man.
Right. No, once again, I just debunked the argument. You said, well, butt sex is wrong because that's not the real purpose of the pee-pee in the bunghole, right? Well, it's not the real purpose of my lips to use them to kiss my girlfriend. Yeah, you don't think it's wrong. Well, the purpose of my hands isn't to play piano, but you don't think it's wrong. I mean, like, listen, man, we could go on and on all day about this. You're just arbitrarily setting prescriptive functions and purposes to the parts of our body. I think that they only would hold descriptive purposes. But even if we assume your view here that the parts of our bodies do have prescriptive purposes in the sense that they're supposed to do a particular function, we still wouldn't say that using them outside of that function is morally wrong. Else you would have to say that me kissing my girlfriend is morally wrong because the intended purpose of my lips, what I'm supposed to do with them is to speak and eat, not to kiss my girlfriend.
Okay, well, I want to move on from that because obviously there's a lot more when it comes to all of that stuff that I really honestly don't know
okay.
about.
Well, I mean,
What I wanted to talk about was abortion.
Okay. Well, we can talk about abortion, but before we move on, I asked you about why being gay was wrong. The first reason you said is because you can't reproduce, and then I pointed out the fact that, well, I want to be able to reproduce with an infertile woman, yet you don't think there's anything wrong with me marrying an infertile woman. Then your second point was to say, well, there's other ways to reproduce, such as a surrogate mother. I just informed you upon the fact that that's also something two gay men could do, and then you shifted the argument to saying, well, it's wrong to be gay because that's not the intended purpose of the pee-pee in the butthole. But then I also pointed out that, well, it doesn't seem to be the intended purpose of my mouth to kiss my girlfriend, yet you don't think it's morally wrong. So quite frankly, it is the case that you haven't provided me a single reason that has withheld the test of my logic for more than 5 seconds in a single sentence to demonstrate why it's wrong to be gay.
It's morally wrong.
Oh, yeah, why? Okay, great, why? Come on.
It's in the Bible.
Oh, it's in the Bible. Okay, so it's in the Bible. What verse? Sure. A question. What verse of the Bible tells us that it's wrong to be gay?
Where does it say it's allowed to be gay?
Okay, where does it say in the Bible that I'm allowed to use a Chromebook? Fucking hell, does that mean it's a sin for me to be typing on this motherfucker just because the Bible doesn't explicitly say that you're allowed to use a MacBook?
No, but you're allowed to use your resources to your will. And doesn't mean you're going to be saved if you are.
Okay. Well, if a butthole's a gay man's resource, use it to his will.
Well, that's to his will, but that's not for me to be. I'm not gonna judge him. That's the thing. Okay, yeah, I made those comments, whatever. But that's why.
By the way, butthole is a gay man's resource. Use it to his will with consent. With consent. I also wanted to add that on. Like with consent, by the way, with consent, everybody. I wanted to make sure I added that on. The particular language that I just used in that last argument was like very rapey, and I wanted to apologize for that. I should have added on with consent. Okay, that needs to be very explicitly stated out loud. The last argument that I said should have had a with consent at the end, but. Now, I also wanted to say here that you said that it was a sin in accordance with the Christian Bible. Which verse of the Christian Bible tells us that it is a sin to be gay?
To be honest, I don't know. I literally don't know what.
Oh, great. So you're just saying that it's a sin in the Bible, but you don't know what verse. Hey, ma'am. Well, guess what? Being straight is morally wrong because it's a sin in the Bible.
Well, either way, lust is a sin in general, so it doesn't matter about being lesbian or gay. Lust is a sin.
Wait. Is lust a sin that is mutually exclusive to gay individuals?
Yes.
Wait, a straight man can't lust after a woman?
They can.
Okay, so then it's not mutually
That's what I'm
exclusive to gay
saying.
individuals.
Lust in general. Lust is not just for man, woman, woman. I'm not saying that. I'm saying lust in general.
Okay, so
Lust in general is for
then you don't
anybody,
believe.
any person.
So then you don't
Any
believe.
person who has a lust.
So then you don't believe that it's wrong to be gay. You believe that it's wrong to lust after others, regardless if you're gay or straight.
Yes, that too.
Well, it's not that too. It's one or the other, right? Because the original argument that you were trying to make is that it was wrong to be gay. Now you've fallen down to saying that it's wrong to be gay because lust is wrong, but then you agree that lust isn't mutually exclusive to gay individuals. That's also something that straight individuals can engage in, which means that no, your argument is not that it's wrong to be gay. Your argument is that it's wrong to lust after individuals that you're attracted to, regardless of what your sexual orientation is, right? And that would refute the original point that it's wrong to be gay.
Okay, well, like I'm saying, this whole topic about the bisexuals, whatever, I just don't agree with it. That's my opinion. Like I said, it's my opinion, so it doesn't really matter. Now, abortion.
You shouldn't hold opinion. It actually does matter, okay? You shouldn't hold opinions without good reason, especially when they hurt other people. Like, God, what is the relevant distinction between you saying that you think it's wrong to be gay and it's your opinion and so it doesn't really matter, and a white supremacist
Actually, I don't
think
go
it's
to
wrong
church,
to be black
so.
and that's their opinion, so it doesn't really matter? Are you okay with white supremacy? Are you okay with neo-Nazism?
Repeat the question?
Are you okay with white supremacy? Are you okay with Nazism?
No.
Okay, so even though it's their opinion, it does matter, and you're still yet going to condemn it because they're unfairly persecuting others without good reason. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing to you right now, and that's exactly what you should do to yourself every single time you could look in the fucking mirror, unless you could give me a logically coherent reason why it is morally wrong to be gay.
Okay, great. So, abortion, I don't believe abortion is not right. Okay, you mentioned earlier about legals and then being a fetus being legal in this country and not being legal in this country.
Was that a statement, question?
That's what you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was in reference to another debate. I would ignore that. I mean, that was it was an internal critique of what somebody was saying.
So the whole reason why I wanted to even talk on here, which I guess you wanted to move on from this. So, abortion, do you believe in abortion? That's for starters. Do you believe in abortion?
What does that even mean? Do I believe in abortion? Are you asking me if I think it's like wrong? No, I don't think it's wrong.
Why?
Why? Because I can't identify any reason why I should think it's wrong.
So now, see, that's the problem. Well, I'm not saying you're wrong to believe whatever you want, right? But I'm saying that I disagree with that.
Okay,
Abortion.
So why do you think it's wrong?
I think it's wrong because it's still a baby. People think fetuses are not babies or whatever, but they are. And if you mention that they're a citizen as well, even if they don't have Social Security giving birth, it doesn't mean.
So you think that they're like their baby, their children?
Their baby. You said they're reproductive. They're in a reproductive stage.
Okay. I need to make sure that you know what you're saying.
That's what you were saying earlier.
So I just want to clarify that you think that this is a baby, a child, something that is deserving of
It's
value.
a reproductive stage.
But you're
That's what makes
it
up a human.
So you think that this is like a human baby, a human child.
It's a reproductive stage. So that makes
is this a human baby, a child, is this a child baby?
It's a reproductive stage.
Reproductive stage.
You're
literally just like throwing words out there. So no, it's not a reproductive stage. No. It's a stage in human development. There's no such thing as
human development. It's a human, right?
Yes.
It's a human, right?
Human from the
So why do you feel like you should abort a human?
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't think that there's any reason that human should be considered morally valuable. Well, let me get this straight.
I also believe
Let me get this straight. Would you allow me to finish talking? I don't think that merely being a member of our species is what gives you moral value or what makes you worthwhile. Okay. Like think about it this way. When a school is shot up and children die, okay, I don't cry because we lost members of our species. I cry because of these young children and the life that they had begun and the experiences that they've already had and their sentience and their engagement in the world around them and what could have been on the future predicated on what has already been in the past, right? But not because they share similar DNA to me. So when you try to make the argument, well, that, we should cry over these fetuses just because they share similar DNA to us, I just simply don't understand where you're coming from. And there's also a lot of issues with the view as well, because brain dead patients are also human and they're alive, but we pull the plugs on them every single day and we don't consider it murder. But under your view, we should consider it murder, and that's fucking insane.
I believe it's considered murder when there's a lot of people just having sex for fun and their parents neglect them. So their kids, they don't know any better. So they're out here throwing their cat around, and then they have pregnant and they don't want to take responsibility of what they do, because the whole purpose of sex is to reproduce. Yeah, you could have fun or whatever, but at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen when sperm reaches the egg.
Dude,
that's what's going to happen. A baby's going to come out of it.
I hate this argument. Can
So
I tell
why
you why?
would people just do this unprotected? And a lot of people, they literally do stuff unprotected, thinking nothing's going to happen to them. So why should their child that they created with this person, and then they cry about, oh, this dude isn't good or blah, blah, blah. But they did it. And then they want to cry about it and remove the baby from their body because they think they don't have, that's not right.
I'm going to give you an analogy here. Are you ready? Woo! Analogy time. Woo!
Yes,
wait,
somebody in the
wait.
comments mentioned sexual assault.
Oh,
so
no.
I want
Oh, God. Okay, before we talk about what your view on victims of rape as it relates to their access to abortion or lack thereof is, let me respond to what you just said, because you just went on this fucking tirade about how much you hate women. Now,
I don't hate women.
Yeah, you said, listen to what I'm saying. You said throwing their cat around, spreading their legs, recklessly engaging in just fucking for fun. All the repercussion is sex, and guess what sex could lead to? Sex could lead to pregnancy. So if you spread your legs and you fuck for fun and you get pregnant, guess what? You took responsibility for that the moment you decided to spread those legs. Let me give you an analogy. Ma'am, if I spread my lips and I huff and puff on a cigarette for fun, very recklessly, and in doing so, I'm acknowledging that could lead to lung cancer in the future, well, does that mean that I have to take responsibility for that lung cancer if I get it? Or should I still be able to go to the doctors, go to the hospital, and seek medical treatment to kill that lung cancer?
That is, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but that's also, it's not right. Smoking is a cigarette, right?
Boom! You could condemn smoking. Boom, 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 boom. It's a life form.
Cigarettes is not a life form.
Okay, well, sex also is a
not.
life form.
The
comparison would be between the cancer cells and the fetus. Now, okay, fair response. You're saying that the cancer cells aren't valuable, but the fetus is. But now we're shifting our argument away from the responsibility that the woman would have because they decided to engage in sex, to more so saying that they'd have a responsibility not to get an abortion because the fetus is morally valuable. So which one is it? Okay, is abortion wrong because the fetus is morally valuable, or is it wrong because the woman decided to consent to engage in an intercourse?
It's wrong. Wait, what? Repeat that question?
Which one is it? Do you think that abortion is wrong because you think that the life of the fetus is morally valuable, or do you think that abortion is wrong because the woman consented to engage in sex?
I think it's wrong because the baby has value.
Because the baby has value. Okay. All right. And then once again, you told us the reason that fetus has moral value is because it's a member of our species. I've already responded to this. My first response was to say, A, when a school gets shot up and children die, we're not crying because we're losing members of our species. We're crying because we're losing children with their own experiences, their perceptions of the world around them, and future consciousness predicated on the experiences in which they've already had. Okay. Well, fetuses don't have that until 24 weeks. That's why I'm not against abortion until that point. And before that point, the only common trait that they share is the fact that they're a member of our species, and seemingly we don't seem to care about that fact alone all too much, because brain dead patients are also human and alive. They're members of our species, but we don't think it's murder or wrong to kill them by pulling the plug. So, I mean, for all those reasons, just saying that you merely value the life of the fetus and you think that thereby abortion is a murder, wrong, etc., should be illegal merely because they're a member of our species. is not a good argument, Christy. Yeah, Christy, you gotta come on live in order for me to hear ya. You gotta come on live in order for me to hear ya. Welcome back, Christy. Before you continue, I gotta thank Brody for the $10 over on Venmo 45 minutes ago. I really appreciate you for that love. Show some love to Brody down below. As well as Lillian 27 minutes ago, the $10 on Venmo saying missed out yesterday because I was protesting. Thank you for protesting yesterday. Sky, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get 200 Sky W's. And Megan with the $10 and Casper with the $10. I appreciate that, Megan and Casper. And Sharp! Oh my God, Sharp with the $50 over on Venmo. Sharp says, okay, Chef Dean, you are cooking today. Sharp, I love you. That is so incredibly kind of you. That is so much goddamn money. Let's get 500 W Sharps down below in that comment section. Literally right the hell now, while Miss Christy down here is responding to the last argument I gave her. Take it away, Christy, and show some diddly darn love to Sharp down below in that comment section. Take it away.
Okay, so, well, what I really wanted to come on here and say was about the border thing, which you don't want to really talk about.
Oh, God.
But that's what I really wanted to mention.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go ahead with that. So the thing to fix the whole border situation and illegal immigrants and documentation. So the right thing to do, in my opinion, would be close the border and fix what's within. We have a lot of homeless people already. Not only that, I also work in a refinery and all of that stuff, and we're working, taxes are getting taken away. And yeah, I'm not saying every illegal is bad. I believe that they deserve a chance, but why invite more? Why invite more? There's already enough. A lot of people, they have a hard time finding a job now. So why would you bring a lot of people here when people are already having a hard time finding a job? Not only that.
Let me ask you a question about something you said. You said there's a lot of homeless people in America and we got to fix that. Name one thing that Donald Trump has ever done in the last 10 years until now for low-income Americans or homeless Americans.
And I'm not talking about, I don't know what they have done.
Nothing. So stop virtue signaling about it. Stop virtue signaling. No, that's not. No, that is objectively not every president. Democrats did EBT. Democrats did food stamps. Democrats did Medicaid and Medicare. Democrats did Social Security. Democrats did Section 8. Biden and Harris did the PACT Act, which literally allowed for 1 million new veterans, a lot of them in the low-income bracket in this country, to have access to free medical health care services relating to things in which weren't covered previously in the VA. So that's absolutely not true. So don't try to make that claim because it's false. It doesn't align with reality and it's simply delusional. So do not come up here and tell me that you care about homeless people or low-income Americans.
No, I'm saying
them
that
while supporting the party that has historically done absolutely jack shit for them. In fact, they've only made their conditions worse. Like Donald Trump with his BBB. Bro, it's going to increase the taxes on the bottom 20% of income earners in America. It's going to reduce their after-tax income by $2,200 per year, but then you vote for them, you support them, and turn around and say that we need to do more for low-income Americans? Come on, Christy.
I'm saying if you bring more people here, other people are going to have hard time finding jobs, and that's including illegals, right? They come here, they're looking for work, right? What if they can't find a job? So that person's going to be homeless. Now we're going to have homeless people on the streets.
Actually, undocumented immigrants, unironically, are more active in participating in the labor force than citizens. So
I understand that.
It's more likely that an undocumented immigrant will be employed than it is likely that a citizen will be employed.
Yes, I understand that. So that's why I think the best thing to help them in any way and to stop bringing, because there's a lot of people who are illegal who are also criminals as well. So why don't we just close the border? Why don't we just close the border and fix within, meaning the people who are already here that are illegal, if they committed another criminal act other than entering this country, they should at least get their citizenship or at least get their social security, whatever, right? But the ones who committed those criminal acts that are here already, they should get deported or they should get sent to prison or whatever the hell the reason is, right? But the ones that are here, they should at least get their papers.
Listen.
They should have a chance to get their papers. But why invite a lot more than you're inviting a lot of more people? Then they will be like, it's not just Mexico. It's not just other countries, right? But you're also bringing terrorists in here as well, unknowingly.
Okay, what's a terrorist? Well, actually, let me ask you a question. Would you say if we had an undocumented immigrant waltz into this country and gain a cult-like following of like maybe a million other undocumented immigrants, and once he gained this cult-like following, he then used that platform to call for the termination of the American Constitution. And he even tried to use the power he has because of that platform to rig and change the outcome of a presidential election and install the candidate that he knew would further his own agenda and do what he wants. That would be a terrorist.
And you're talking about Trump.
No, I'm talking about an undocumented immigrant. He's not an
I don't-
undocumented immigrant, so I'm not talking about Trump. Trump's a good man, Christy. He would never do these things.
I don't think undocumented illegals are terrorists. No, I don't.
But
I'm
listen,
saying that-
answer my question. If there was an undocumented immigrant
I'm not-
that gained
I'm
a
from
cult-like
this- I'm from
following
the
of
United
millions of
States,
people
by
and
the
called
way.
for the termination of the Constitution
And
tried
I'm not
to get
a
it done and
Christian,
even
I
tried to
just
rig
believe
the
in
outcome
God.
of a federal election. Not a Christian, I believe in God, but referencing the Bible, incoherent gibberish, get it out of here, I'm going to ignore it. But if somebody did do this, would they be a terrorist?
You're gonna have to repeat it.
And if there was an undocumented immigrant that gained a cult-like followings of millions of others, and then they used this platform to try to abolish the Constitution and introduce anarchy into the country by rigging a presidential election, would you consider them a terrorist?
Yes.
Donald Trump has done both of those two things. Does that mean that you also consider Donald Trump a terrorist?
Well, I asked you if you were referring to Trump earlier, and you said no.
I know, Christy, I lied.
Of course.
So do you want to answer the question?
You can't. So, okay, a terrorist, right? So let's just say, no, I legit want to know this answer. So, because I don't know. So, a terrorist, right? Would you be considered a terrorist if you do it to your own country? Or would it just be only outside of your country? Would you be considered a terrorist?
Yeah, you could still commit acts of terror and be a terrorist if you do it to your own country. Yeah.
No, then that answers your question.
So you support a terrorist as president?
I support no abortion. I believe that abortion is not okay. I support those things. I support abortion is not okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ. She willingly supports a terrorist as president, everybody. You know, you just can't even make this shit up. I got to thank a couple people here.
Deport her. I'm
let's
from the
see.
United States.
Chat, whoever's saying deport here, get the fuck out of here. Mods, can you ban them, please? Can you ban whoever said that in the chat? That's bigoted. Casper, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. Christy, you are more than an item used by men to populate the earth. You have a mind, a brain, and a spirit that you could use to live and thrive in this world. First and foremost, Casper with the $10, and honestly, I want you kind of respond to Casper's message there, because earlier you said that the only reason that women exist is to reproduce, so maybe you could respond to that. But before you do, I'd really like to thank Christy! Not the Christy on the live, but the Christy that just donated me $50 over on Venmo! Let's get 500 Christy W's, and it happens to be spelled the same way her name is spelled. So show Christy 2.0. Christy, no. Show Christy 1.0 some love down below in that chat. But Christy says, as a Christy, woman, and Hispanic, we do not claim this other Christy. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the love, Christy. Show some love for Christy down below in that chat. And Alani with a $9 as well.
I also want to know why was it called misogynist? I honestly don't know what that means, but what does misogynist mean? If you could just answer that real quick.
Wow. Okay. All right. No worries. So misogyny can be defined as, what's like a really easy way to define it? Prejudice or sexism directed to women. Okay? That's what
So how was I
misogyny would be.
being sexist towards women?
So you were being internally misogynistic when you said that the only purpose that women serve is to reproduce. And the reason that's like prejudice against women is because it's aimed towards all women, and it's prejudice because it's setting forth a false a false claim that's serving to demean the value of women, because you were isolating their value down to their reproductive ability. Right? And women can have a lot of value outside of just being able to have children.
Yes, they have other value outside of just having children, yes. But what I'm saying is women and men, they just don't belong. That's my opinion or whatever. But the thing that I know that is a fact is a woman is a woman, a man is a man. So with all those pronouns, oh, like I'm gonna identify as him or Steven or whatever. That's
Wait, I have a
your
question. Do you believe in
female, and that's
pronouns?
it. No, I don't.
You just
Except
used,
I'm a girl, just a woman.
wait.
So that's the only pronoun that
Yeah,
I believe in. I'm a
you've
woman.
just used 4 pronouns after you said that you don't believe in pronouns. So I is a pronoun.
No,
So,
in the other pronouns. Like what I'm saying is, I believe in I'm a woman or
that's a
she,
pronoun.
right?
That's a
But
pronoun.
I will not believe in calling myself another pronoun that I'm not.
Okay, so
Which is I'm not a guy, I'm
what?
not a boy.
Oh, okay. Well, both guy and boy are not pronouns.
Well, whatever, I'm not a him.
Okay. Okay. All right. Earlier we were talking about the Bible, so I mean, you believe in like God the Father, right?
I believe in God, yes.
Is he a him?
Yes.
Why?
Because it states in the Bible when they speak of him, it says he.
Okay. So basically, he just prefers to be called a him.
That's what they're saying. It's written in the Bible, so okay.
And all
Like
of
I
a sudden,
said, I'm
and all of a
not a-
sudden, and
I'm
all of a
not a
sudden, and all of a
Christian,
sudden,
I'm
you go,
not-
and all of a sudden, in less than 10 seconds, you go from being crazy conservative to supporting preferred pronouns. Thank you for my TED Talk.
Huh?
Yeah, God the Father is immaterial. He doesn't have a penis. He just prefers to be called in him, and you support that. You call him and him. So what's the issue with calling other people without penises hims if they prefer to be called hims?
But who said, okay, so nowhere in the Bible he was born a man. He was born a guy. That's
Okay.
just what it was.
So that's going to be God the Son. I asked about God the Father, and B, like even prior to like Jesus's birth on earth, like Jesus existed immaterially. So like prior to Jesus's birth on earth, was God a he him?
Yes.
Great, but they didn't have a dick, but
Who
they
said-
just
who said
preferred
he
to be
didn't
called a he
have-
him.
But why? Okay, so I'm gonna put it this way.
Boom.
People say, oh, I identify as a cat, right? So I seen a video where this guy was driving, and then he tells the cop, oh, I identify as a cat. And he was just like, really? Because cats cannot drive. And then that means I need to take you to the pound and give you a rabies shot. Right?
That was
Obviously,
like a satirical joke from a right.
yes, it's a joke, but the point is the law is the law, right? So when it comes to
do you think that
what I'm
people
saying is when
actually
it
did
comes to the
okay.
like what I'm saying is when it comes to the actual law,
Goodness gracious.
like let's just say there's a man
Okay, so what do you
and a female and this man
in
identifies,
order for somebody to be a he him, what do they need to have?
he needs a penis, she needs a vagina.
Yeah, we just agreed that God the Father doesn't have a pee-pee, yet he's a he him. So I'm going to re-ask the question. In order to be considered a he
Who said
him,
he
what do you have to
doesn't?
have? Well, he's a material, okay? A pee-pee is a material thing. So the laws of logic would imply that thereby he does not have a pee-pee.
I'm not a child. I'm 25. Well, I'm gonna just get off
Why?
because there's no point. There's literally no point of discussing this.
Sure there is. Trying to discover truth, become a more rational species, learn and grow.
Well, when I wasn't on in the first place, I was trying to look up a Bible verse for you, but it says I'm off anyways.
So, I mean, do you feel like responding to the last point? What do you need to be considered a he, him? Because now we know it's not a pee-pee, so what is it?
It's God. That's his pronoun.
Okay.
God, that's it. He's the creator of all mankind, anything that lives.
Okay, and like I'm still yet asking you, like what is a universal rule that you would uphold in order to refer to somebody as a he, him? What trait do they need to possess in order to qualify for the usage of those pronouns?
He's God, and he's the only God. Nobody else could define as God except him. That's his pronoun. He's God. That's it.
Okay, why is it his pronoun?
Because he's God.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so if you're God, then you're a he, him. What?
No, nobody else could be labeled as God because God, there's only one God, and that's it.
Okay, well, I'm not asking you what are the qualifications to be labeled as God. I'm asking you what are the qualifications to be labeled as a he, him.
And I said for he, it's a penis. For she, it's a vagina.
Well,
that's it.
But now we're going in a circle. God don't have that.
But God, that's his pronoun. God, that's it. He's the creator of all mankind. He created us.
So God's pronouns are God?
God, that's going to be his pronoun, God.
Wait, you just said his though. Stop referring to him as a he, him. Stop referring to God as a he, him right now.
God created everybody, so God is God. That's it. He's the creator of life.
Stop saying he!
God, it says he in the Bible, so I'm going to go by he in the Bible, and that's it.
Okay. So you're basically saying the reason why you refer to God as a he, him is because it's what God prefers, even though God doesn't possess a penis, and you don't want to disrespect God.
So you don't
come on,
you don't
be real.
believe in God.
Is that the legitimate? Is that the legitimate reason? God prefers to be referred to as a he, him, even though he doesn't have a penis, and you don't want to disrespect God. You want to respect God, so you're going to respect their preferred pronouns, even though they don't have a penis, right? That's a view, right?
No.
Okay, then what is it?
If he's a man, if he has a penis, then that's a man.
Okay, well, God don't have that. God doesn't have a pee-pee.
But God is God. He's the creator of us, so it doesn't matter. God is God.
Okay, so why doesn't it matter for God? Why do you have to have a pee-pee to be a man unless you're God?
God is everything. God is the Holy Spirit. God is everything.
Wait. If God is everything, this means that God would have a pee-pee, yes, but it also means that God has a vagina.
So pretty much, God, he creates all of us, cells and everything. Just like abortion, those are clumps of cells, right? So that's also a human. He created humankind.
So so your argument is that God created humans, therefore you'll respect God's preferred pronouns. So if there's a trans man with a kid, you'll respect his preferred pronouns?
Look, I'm not going to argue with you only because I know for a fact that you don't believe in God.
I believe in God, God damn it. I bet I know more about the Bible than you. You want to do a quiz?
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. But at the same time, if you believe in God like you say you do, why do you believe in abortions? Why do you think that's okay?
Oh, well, of course. It's because if God didn't think that women should have the free will or physical ability to access abortion, then God would have restricted the free will or physical ability of women to access abortion.
Okay, like anybody could have all the resources.
Think about it, man. Like if God doesn't want to restrict a woman's access to do that, why should we?
No, everybody could have all of the equipment, all of the resources, all of that. It doesn't mean that you're going to be saved, right? Let's just say you have a computer and you have the resource to look up all this knowledge and stuff, except you're watching porn. So you're doing less wax, right? Which is a sin, right? As long as you don't use your resources to fall into sin.
I don't understand the relevance of it, but do you think that abortion should be illegal because it's a sin? One second. Do you think that abortion should be illegal because it's a sin that violates the 10 Commandments?
I believe that abortion should be illegal because it's a sin.
Okay, so should lying to your children, telling them that Santa Claus exists, be a sin? Be illegal because it's a sin that violates the 10 Commandments too?
The holidays, it's a pagan holiday. It's not even something See, so that's what you do. That's what I'm saying. The resources that we have. Santa Claus is a pagan holiday,
Can you
right?
answer my question?
So
Should it be
you can
illegal to tell
choose-
your children that Santa Claus exists? Should it be illegal?
No, it's like I said.
So you okay?
It's
So
free will,
it's wrong.
right? You said
It's okay.
free will,
Okay, it's free will
but
to
it's
sin,
what you
even
do
if it's
with it.
wrong, but it shouldn't be illegal. Okay, so therefore, women should have the ability to access abortion legally in accordance with their free will, even if it's a sin. Right? Just like I should have the ability
so
to tell my
everybody
children that
has
Santa Claus
free will,
exists in
right?
accordance with my free will, even if it's a sin.
Exactly. Everybody has free will. Jesus died on the cross.
You just
for us,
affirmed
right?
you just affirmed the pro-choice.
Yeah,
worldview.
everybody. Jesus.
You just
died on the
affirmed
cross,
you just
but
affirmed the
it
pro-choice
doesn't mean
worldview.
it's right, but it doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah. No, you're actually right here. Good point. Okay, just because women should have the
Just
free
like
will and ability to
anybody
access abortion, it doesn't mean it's right. Well, guess what? You don't have to think that abortion is right in order to be pro-choice. You asked me, how can you be pro-choice as a Christian? Okay, well, it's as you just described. Personally, think it's wrong, but think that you shouldn't be able to control the free will or ability of other women as it relates to the sin. That's how you can be pro-choice and Christian simultaneously.
So I'm gonna tell you something. What does my words have effect on people? I'm not controlling anybody. I could put the information out there the same way as you, but it doesn't mean I'm controlling somebody. That is opinion, right?
Pro-life is an inherently control-based position. Because being pro-life doesn't imply that you think abortion's wrong. It implies that you think that we should be able to control what women can or can't do with their bodies, legally speaking, and act upon that levy of control via usage of enforcement through restrictive regulation.
This world
and
is damned anyways, so it doesn't matter.
This world is damned. Okay. Pro-choice queen. Fuck yeah.
It doesn't matter what I say. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all opinion based. People believe that, okay, I could do whatever I want with my body and not take any repercussions or whatever the fuck the word is, right? And then
based? Sorry.
And me, I could do whatever I want, right? But it doesn't mean we have to align with each other. We all have our own opinions. Yeah.
You're describing the pro-choice view.
Yeah, pro-choice. So I just know what I'm not going to do. Okay, fine. That's what she's saying.
Dude,
they have
pro-choice.
But
why this is what the pro-choice view
is. Why allow it? You know that. Why allow it in the first place? You said you read the Bible. You know more about it, right? So you know that don't leave your children into anger, right? Because that's a sin. Don't cause your children to sin. If you yell at them and all this stuff, you will cause your children to sin, right? To get angry. You're not supposed to leave your children angry. You know that already. So why put out all of these things? Like if things were back then in God time where as soon as you committed a sin, you're removed from this earth, I bet a lot of people would not be doing that. But this is why Jesus.
I don't think that Christian
We're all
theology.
failing him. We're all failing him.
Thank you for the cool gift. I don't think that Christian theology has ever taught if you commit a sin, you're raptured immediately at any point.
Look at the Old Testament.
Okay, I'm looking at the Old Testament. What do I see that if you sin, you're immediately raptured?
I can't look it up right now because. So, I can't look it up right now because I'm on this damn thing. But
okay, what if I help you by taking you off of the damn thing?
Just take me off.
Okay, bye, Christy. Whee! We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next guest. We got our next guest, Mason, loading up in. Now, Mason has a eagle as their profile picture and a baseball in their name, so I'd assume that they're like 14. Mason, how old are you? I have a feeling that they're not talking, which means they're underage, and they left. And they left quite frankly. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next guest. Hey, Sal! Thank you for the $15 over on PayPal 30 minutes ago, saying, Dean, you're awesome, and thank you for doing the debates. I appreciate that. Hey, Sal, that is Heysel. Y'all, while we're getting the next guest up here, show some love to Heysel down below in that comment section. We got Dog Lover 06 tuning in, as well as Asher. Thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal, saying, Slay King, I've been watching the lives for a while and love listening to you dunk on the haters. Keep slaying. Dude, I really appreciate that, Asher. Can we please show some love to Asher down below in the comment section for the $20 donation over on PayPal?
Cookie King mogs you, bro.
As well as Pineapple. Thank you so much for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Get a fucking job. Moving on to the next guest, we got Caden Allen loading up right now. Hello, Caden Allen.
How you doing, bro?
You know, I'm doing all right, man. You Maga?
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
19, 2006.
19. All right, Mr. Caden Allen. Now, before we hop into the debate, I got to thank Alexis for the $100 donation over on PayPal. Holy fuck, Alexis. I want everybody in this live to spam W Alexis down below in that comment section. Let's get at least 1,000 W Alexises. That is so incredibly kind of you, Alexis. I love you so much. Thank you, Alexis. Huge shout out to you. That is so generous. I do not deserve that. I seriously, that is incredibly kind of you. Huge shout out to Alexis. But Mr. Caden, take it away. Tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, Donald J. Trump.
So I got 3 reasons, and we can touch on either ones. I know you kind of touched on all of them, but I mean, this was my first year voting. I'm not too politically involved, but it was a lot on the border situation, the LGBTQ plus community decisions. And then also I live in a rural area, so it's a lot of the economical things for those kind of things. And then the abortion movement. And that was kind of for whichever one you want to
talk about the second one first, the LGBTQ plus community. So how did gay people convince you to vote for Trump?
So they didn't actually, I don't personally believe it's right to be gay. Yes, I am a Christian, but I don't stem that off my Christianity beliefs. I do it off of moral beliefs.
Wayne is really getting his wish fulfilled, guys. Remember how Wayne asked me to talk to people that think it's wrong to be gay? Oh boy, are we shitting on the homophobes?
He's getting it.
So Wayne, if you're still in here, I hope you're enjoying the content. Sure. Why don't you tell us all why you think it's wrong to be gay?
I personally believe that, like, you can love whoever you want. I think love is an emotional feeling. I believe in sexual orientation. I feel like if you look at how reproduction does work, it is between a sexual man and a sexual woman, not based off your gender. I think gender and sex are different things, but your sexual man or woman reproductivity, I think, yes, you can love whoever you want, but I think in a legal sense and a reproductive sense, it is between a man and a woman.
Would it be wrong for me to marry a woman that's infertile?
No, I don't actually believe so. I don't believe that that's the only reason that you should marry someone or be in a relationship with someone is for your sexual desires. Now, yes, I believe that sexual desires are meant for a man and a woman that are married, but I don't think that that should be the only reason you stem your beliefs off of.
Yeah, for sure. You just contradicted yourself because you said it's wrong to be gay because the only reason our attractions and marriage exists is for reproduction. Gay people cannot reproduce with one another, thereby being gay is wrong. However, it is the case that you just affirmed that it is not wrong for me to marry a woman that's infertile. However, me and that woman that's infertile would be just as likely to reproduce as 2 gay men. The standard of a lack of an ability to reproduce is not the reason why you think that being gay is wrong, or else you'd think it's wrong for me to be with a infertile woman. So I'll just ask you the question again. Why is it wrong to be gay?
I think that's just back to, I think it's a medical condition. Doesn't I know it's a very common thing to be infertile, but I don't feel like that should be a sense of why we should allow gayness is because a medical, I'm trying to say there, medical dysfunction.
Sorry. Point number 1, let's call gay people, not gays. Point number 2, infertility is not always like a dysfunction of the human experience. Like, all females should be infertile after undergoing menopause. Yet you'd obviously still say that is the case, that a man should be able to marry an infertile woman, even if it's not like a medical dysfunction, but rather something that is typical, understood, and should occur in accordance with the human experience of being a female. And also infertility is incredibly common, just about as common as being gay, right? What is it? Like 18 to 20% of women are infertile from the age of like 18.
I actually wouldn't know that.
But anyways, right. Well, what I'm demonstrating to you is a logical contradiction, because you're saying it's wrong for 2 men to be together because they can't reproduce with one another, yet it's not wrong for a man to be with an infertile woman even though they can't reproduce with one another. Okay, that is a logical contradiction.
Okay. Can we switch that topic of the legality of man and women's
I want you
to women on women's rights in marriage.
I want you to tell me why being gay is wrong.
Without the legal aspect of it, with what you said, you would be right in that sense. Not using sexual reproduction, it would not be inherently wrong.
So you don't think being gay is wrong?
on a reproductive standard, yes.
Okay, then on what standard is it wrong?
Legal.
What?
Well, on a legal like standpoint, what would be the legality of man on man marriage or woman on woman marriage?
Expand the view. So why is
So as
being gay
like,
wrong under a legal standard? Like, I'm not sure that anybody watching right now knows what you mean, but wait, are you saying that
like
it should
should I
be?
legally
Are
should I
you saying that it
legally
should
be
be
able to
illegal
marry
for
a
two men
man?
to get married?
That my personal belief, yes.
Okay, why?
I just believe you go back to the way our bodies were created and the nuclear family. I do believe in the nuclear family. I feel like that is a core value in our culture that our country was established on. And that's where I kind of stand on that. I wanted to know your thoughts on it too.
Our country was also established on slavery. Using your standard, slavery should be legal today for that reason. The same way you're saying that gay marriage should be illegal because it's not what our country was founded on.
You'd be right there. I don't think our country was on slavery. It was a byproduct of our colonization. It did bring along slavery, and there was systemic racism in our founding.
Was there a country founded on the Constitution?
Yes, there was.
Right. The Constitution included the
Was our
Fugitive Slave Clause that required any individual that ran across an escaped enslaved individual to return them to their captor. So if our country was founded on the Constitution, and the Constitution specifically emboldened, condoned, allowed, and legally obligated individuals to act in accordance with the legality of slavery, then the country would also be founded on slavery. And I think that not only is your argument like bad logically speaking, we shouldn't say that things ought be a certain way because it's been this way in the past. That's called an appeal to tradition. Now I find the larger issues to be like the absurd outcomes, such as the idea, well, our country was founded on slavery, therefore we should legalize slavery. Our country was founded on women not having the right to vote, therefore women shouldn't have the right to vote. Our country was founded on only men with property having the right to vote, so therefore men that don't own property shouldn't have the right to vote, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you're going to have to hold to all of these conclusions if you want to say our country is not founded on gay people having the right to vote, the right to get married, therefore they shouldn't have that right to get married today.
Okay, I appreciate that. Could we also talk about abortion while we're at it? I feel like the last person didn't like kind of give a good definition in that.
No, man, I want you to admit that being gay is not wrong and that being gay and gay marriage should be illegal.
I will admit with the facts that you give, that you gave to me, and with my logic, it would inherently be right to be gay.
Okay, so being gay is not wrong and gay people should be able to get married?
Are you also okay with talking about abortion as well?
Yeah, if you could tell us that being gay is not wrong and gay people should be able to get married, yeah.
Oh, I can't. With my logic that I was just given.
Okay, what's next?
I think abortion should be illegal, and this is again not based off of Christian morals, but off own morals.
Wait, did you say that you can or you can't?
You cannot. I feel like it should not be legal. I feel
why?
like it should be illegal.
Why should it be illegal?
I feel like as a fetus, that is still a living cell. I do believe it is murder.
Wait. I thought that we were talking about gay marriage.
Oh, no, I thought we were talking about abortion. Sorry, I thought we had moved on.
So do you think that gay marriage should be legal?
Is it not already legal?
It is legal, but we're having a discussion of what should be the case.
Yeah. My personal beliefs is I didn't, but with the logic that I gave to you, you did correct me in that standing.
Okay. So
I wouldn't have anything to contradict you.
All right. So then why are you pro-life?
I'm pro-life just because, like I said, I do believe that is a living clump of cells, even though it is not a breathing thing. It is still a living clump of cells. I think everything needs nutrients from something. Like, we need the earth to live. We can't just live on our own free will without having anything from even the earth. So I feel like that. I feel like instead of abortion, I feel like there should be better governmental protections for women who don't want to have a kid, instead of abortion. I feel like there should be better government aid for that.
Damn, that ice is so good. I'm fucking it up. Holy shit. Okay, well, your standard here is batshit crazy. So your standard is if it's a living clump of cells, then it should be illegal to kill it. You know,
Yes.
you kill living clumps of cells when you brush your teeth. Okay, there's bacteria on your teeth. So, should it be illegal to brush your teeth for the same reason you think it should be illegal for a woman to get an abortion?
I don't believe that's the same living clump of cells as a fetus.
So the difference would be their species, but you didn't specify anything about killing a living clump of cells in the human species. You just said living clump of cells.
A living human clump of cells. You're right.
Okay. So living humans. So you think that it should be illegal to kill humans that are alive, right?
Correct.
So
Even
would
though
you advocate for policy and governmental reform to make it illegal to pull the plugs on brain dead patients in the hospitals? Keeping in mind that brain death is the permanent and total cessation of all cognitive function.
can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, so would you thereby also say that it should be illegal to pull the plugs on brain dead patients in hospitals since you're killing a living human? Keeping in mind that brain death is the total and complete cessation of all cognitive function.
Okay. In a legal sense, is that if that person is already brain dead, in a legal sense, is that helping that living cell since they cannot function? You know what I mean?
By function, what do you mean?
Correct me if
Are you basically saying that they couldn't be alive unless they were connected to the life support? Therefore, taking the life support off of them isn't wrong?
Well, if they were brain dead, and correct me if I'm wrong, they cannot physically function as a person at all. Like they have no ability
They have
to.
no conscious experience?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So because they don't have a conscious experience, it's okay to pull the plug. So because fetuses don't have a conscious experience until 20 through 24 weeks, it's okay to kill them before 20 through 24 weeks. Unironically, that's actually my view.
Not a conscious experience, I would say personally, but in a medical sense, that does relieve their pain. You could say. I don't know if that's the right word for
So
it.
it's okay to pull the plug on them because they can't feel pain. Well, fetuses can't feel pain until 28 weeks. So you're more pro-choice than I am because you now would say that women should be able to get elective lethal abortions until 28 weeks. Dash, thank you for the galaxy. I appreciate that.
So what's your question there?
Yeah. What's the difference? More so, once again, why would you say it should be legal to kill a brain dead patient, but not to kill a fetus? All right. And then keeping in mind that this is a contradiction of your original stance that you think it should be illegal to kill any innocent human that's alive, because one common trait that the fetus and brain dead patient share are that both are human and alive.
You're very right. Is there a medical difference between the two of one still has a future and the other one does not?
Yeah. So fetuses have a future. So are you saying that the fetus is valuable because of its future?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, first let's test the logic. If a
Yes.
fetus doesn't have a future, would it be okay to abort it?
So if you mean the fetus is medically unable to
Yeah,
grow,
it'll only live like a second outside of the womb.
I feel like if there's a medical way of that fetus will not fully develop, then there is a case for that of a medical abortion.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And then let's also test this by asking you. Well, the first stage of human development would be a human zygote or blastocyst. That is a unicellular human organism. Do you think that it is murder to kill that unicellular human organism because it possesses a future like ours?
Personally, I wouldn't know what that medical terminology means, so I couldn't speak to that. If you want to break that down a little bit easier.
It is a human. It's the first stage of human development. It is a one-celled human. So right after the sperm goes into the egg, boom, unicellular human.
Okay. So that's would still have a future because
Yeah, it does. So would you say that it's murder to kill it?
so using plan B, is that what you're referring to here?
Well, I mean, regardless of the means that we'd use to kill it, if it was killed intentionally, would it be murder?
What my question would be, is that different from, say, a fetus? Are those two different
They're
things?
actually not different as it relates
Okay.
to possessing a future. But a fetus
in relation
isn't a
to-
zygote. But a fetus isn't a zygote, right? Because a zygote is a unicellular, one-celled human organism.
So a zygote would be what our fetuses are relating to our future. So both would have a future, but one is a.
So because the zygote has a future, do you think it'd be murder to kill it?
I believe so. Yes. Sorry, from what everything that I'm digesting here. If I'm understanding what you're posing correctly.
Okay, but I just want to show you a zygote.
Okay, yeah.
Human zygote. Because I think it's very valuable for me to show you this.
And I appreciate this. I really appreciate you taking the time to.
This is a human zygote.
Okay.
It's murder to kill this.
Well, and if you look on the inside of you and used a microscope across the entire body, you would not look.
Well, this is under a microscope.
Yeah, so that's if yes or no, that's what you would look like very tinily under a microscope. If you look at, we're all living clumps of cells, and we're all.
We wouldn't look like this.
You don't physically look like this from the outside, but if you look at your DNA and your inner workings of your body, you would look like that. Correct? If I'm right.
No.
Okay.
Because it's only one cell. We're multiple cells.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
So you think that it's murder to kill a single-celled organism? It's murder to kill this.
But a fetus is not a single cell.
But a zygote is. This is a zygote. You said it was murder to kill a zygote.
Okay, I thought you were meaning that a zygote refers to a fetus.
No, this is a zygote. Is it murder to kill this?
And that is not a living human cell, correct?
This is a living human cell.
But it's not a reproductive human cell, is it? Or is it not?
What do you mean by reproductive?
Like it is not basically going to be a baby in 9 months.
Yes, this is going to be a baby in 9 months.
Okay, then with that logic, then yes.
Okay, it is murder to kill this. I have a question. Should murderers go to jail?
Yes.
Okay.
By our legal system, yes.
So women that murder zygotes by having IUDs, which prevent zygotes that look like this from implanting into their uterine lining, you would say they should be thrown in jail.
I feel like that's two separate things of having an IUD versus having an abortion. Or
wait, why? The IUD is killing the zygote, the abortion's killing the fetus.
Okay, so I think we're getting off topic of whether the fetus.
We're not getting off topic. No, not at all.
So if I kill a zygote, is that medically an abortion?
I mean,
like legally, is that an abortion if I kill? So, if I would do something to kill that.
So the way that I use the word abortion, no. Okay, but I don't really think that the semantics matter here.
So you would say that abortion was to kill that zygote?
No, I wouldn't say that when a woman has an IUD and it starves a zygote, that's an abortion.
Okay, and we're talking about abortion, not the killing of the zygote.
But what's the conceptual relevance of this? The conceptual relevance of me asking you about a zygote is to test the logic that underpins your position. Okay, and the way that I'm doing that is by hearing you out for what your view is, saying, well, it's murder to kill a fetus because fetuses have a future like ours, and I'm just simply pointing out the absurdity in the position while also demonstrating that zygotes like this, the first stage of human development, unicellular human organisms, also have a future like ours, right? Meaning that in accordance with your logic, you'd have to say that it would be a murder to kill a zygote. And then you told us that all murderers should go in jail. The implication here is that if you murder a zygote, you should be in jail. And women murder zygotes all the time by having IUDs, which is a form of birth control that can prevent the implantation of the zygote into the uterine lining, starving it to death while it's still a unicellular organism. So do you see there, after I connect the dots, how it is actually conceptually relevant for you to be answering this question?
I do see what you're saying there.
Right,
yes,
right. So should women with IUDs that kill zygotes be thrown in prison for murder?
No.
Okay, so then not all murderers should go to jail, or it's not murder to kill a zygote?
With all the logic that we've said, then I feel like I'm a little wrong on the standard of zygotes and that being a murder by killing the zygote.
Okay, great. Well, if it's not murder to kill a zygote, then why is it murder to kill a fetus?
We did agree, though, that it is an actual stage. Besides sperm, it's a fetus then. It becomes a fetus.
Yeah, zygote will be a fetus in the future. So once again, if it's not murder to kill a zygote, then why is it murder to kill a fetus?
Because the fetus is a clump of cells that's an actual, then becomes a living being, correct? Like it.
Oh, well, a zygote is also a living human being.
Okay.
It's a first stage of human life. Human life starts at you being a zygote.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I would be wrong then on that as well here with that logic.
So how about this? Do you see how your logic here is just like fucking nuts? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about this? What if I give you a standard towards the issue of abortion that isn't nuts, that makes sense, that doesn't lead you to absurdities such as the idea that it's murder to kill a unicellular organism? If I could give you with a better position, it's more logically coherent and doesn't lead to outcomes like this, would you accept it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'd love to hear.
We should value sentience, the presence of a mind. Okay? That develops in a fetus at 20 through 24 weeks. That means that you don't have to value the zygote, but it just also means that you don't really value the fetus, so you're pro-choice.
Okay. When I look at that, you said 22 weeks. When I look at that, what was the difference between, it was just that it becomes coherent, correct? That was the difference?
Gains the ability to deploy low levels of sentience.
Okay. Then in that case, if we wrap it all back around, is that when kind of the abortion of a coherent mind becomes because I know there's a lot of people that are pro-choice beyond, like, before a certain amount of time.
Yeah, so this is going to be pro-choice, meaning that you'd say that women should have legal access to abortion, and it's not wrong to kill the fetus before around that 20-week part, because the fetus does not have the ability to form a mind or to deploy any level of subjective experiences.
Okay. Yeah. I could definitely rethink my own brain structure of that would be a better logic for me to use when thinking about abortion.
It is. I mean, it doesn't entail absurd outcomes like you have to think that it's murder to kill a zygote. It doesn't entail absurd outcomes like you have to think that it's murder to kill a brain dead patient. And it also makes sense. I mean, like, ask yourself, why do we cry when children get shot in a school? Is it because they're a member of our species? No, it's because, they're young children with unique, innocent experiences, and because of their mind, because of their sentience, because of their consciousness, and it's very sad to see that terminated. Okay, right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, like, seemingly our intuitions as it relates to all of these things aligns with the view that I just described about abortion. So not only does it make more sense logically speaking, but it also better aligns with our other beliefs.
Okay. Can I also ask you this? And this is just with the new, like, refrain mind that we've kind of come up with, that 22 weeks. What would your thought process be there about abortion after that 22 weeks, since they're now coherent?
Yeah, elective lethal abortions would be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we kind of come to a mutual agreement there, or are you still pro-choice after the 22 weeks?
No, I'm fine with saying that elective lethal abortion should be banned after that point. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's, I mean, and then if I look, that's like morally looking at it. I know, like, if you look at a Christian mindset, a Christian belief, there could definitely be a debate there of if life comes from God, that is still life. So even having an IUD would be a Christianity sin. I feel like there's definitely a belief for that for anybody that's listening to that. And
well, I mean, for sure, but we shouldn't, like, intertwine the church with the state.
No,
as soon as we do
absolutely
that,
not. And I totally agree with that. That's why I started off with, I'm a Christian, but I'm not going to base my beliefs off a Christian standard.
Right.
And then, if you don't mind, if I ask you one more thing, and this doesn't have to be deep, because we already talked about the border a bunch. I know you made a comment earlier that you believe the deportation of past violent criminal history, you agree with that deportation, but not all deportation. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I personally believe that all deportation should be legally right. I know that Donald Trump is sometimes not doing it the legal way and still violating constitutional rights.
Well,
I do get that.
I have an idea for you. You seem to be willing to change your mind given, like I could refute your point. Like, I think, like, you've conceded, like, every argument you've tried to make so far. How about this? Go to my page and watch my 5.5-minute video explaining why exactly mass deportation is bad and what a better alternative and or solution is. This is going to be my 3rd most recent post, or if you're including the pin post, the 6th most recent post on my feed. If you want to identify it pretty easily, it's the video where I'm wearing a red long sleeve polo sitting like that. And it has 5.1 million views with a little bit of yellow text over my head. It's close to 6 minutes long, and it's a really in-depth explanation about why I think that mass deportation is bad, kind of going over all the reasons. So honestly, man, I'm probably just going to move on to my next guest, and I direct you to go watch
Thank you, D, so much for your time.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming up and being willing to change your mind on these things. Take care. That's probably like the first time I've ever had just like a homophobe conservative like be willing to kind of have coherent dialogue. I gotta say, man, like I've never had somebody come in here like saying that being gay is wrong and gay marriage should be illegal, and like to have them in like a mental space where they're I don't know, like he actually thought that those conclusions were like derivative of like sound reasoning and logic. And honestly, like a lot of people will ask me sometimes why I can talk to people that are a little bit more crazy like that, that hold to like just truly absurd beliefs, like gay marriage should be illegal, or like why I debated Nick Fuentes. And I mean, like that right there is like kind of one of the examples. Like most people in those circles are like just truly going to be hateful. And like the only reason why they hold those conclusions is because of their hate and bigotry. No reason or logic at all. But there's going to be like a smaller portion of people like Caden where it's like they just actually think that it's logical because of societal like programming, manipulation at behest of like peers, educators, parents, etc., into believing that these things can be logically justified, but like in their heart, like they don't feel the hate. They just think that it's logically true. And I mean, those people are rare, right? Those people are very, very rare, but maybe an example of somebody like that is Caden. You don't come across people like Caden often, and I hope that he does truly change his mind. But yeah, yep. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our next guest, everybody. This will probably be the very last guest of the evening before we hop off. We've been on for around 4 hours. That's right. Then also for like those in the chat that disagree with my view that elective lethal abortions are like wrong after 20 through 24 weeks, putting it out there. I've been researching this for 3 years. Never found a single circumstance of a woman getting an elective lethal abortion after that point. Most elective abortions we see after that point are going to be via an induction of labor or C-section. I don't think that's wrong. I think that should be legal. But then everything else is going to be like medical exceptions or victims of rape, which I also don't think are wrong and should be legal even at that point. What's going on, Cass? Are you MAGA?
Hello, it's nice to meet you. So I did not vote in this election, and I just wanted to talk about like two subjects. I don't want to take up much of your time, and I feel like a lot of it stems from even what Caden was saying, like not being very educated, not having the right peers, not knowing what to socially follow, what's right, what's wrong. Like, I just wanted to ask you like two questions, maybe.
For
and
sure.
see
How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, feel free to like run any view on me that like, do you have like views that like lead to you like supporting ideas on the right, Donald Trump?
I don't really keep up with him. I just have like my own preferable beliefs. I'm not very educated. I will admit that. I just went to high.
Feel free to ask me a question.
Okay, so first of all, what is your stance on transgenders? Like
Transgender individuals.
yes.
For sure. Yeah, I'll answer this question. I'll probably move on to the next guest because I want to have like a debate before we end.
Of course.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that like gender identity is a social construct that exists outside of like a biological reality. And I mean, I think that it has been a social construct for a very, very long time. I mean, even as it relates to like the gender of God in Christianity or gods in other religions, that is an acceptance of gender existing as a social construct. So, I mean, like, of course, I'd say that, like the gender identity of trans individuals is valid for that reason. I just don't define gender as biological sex. And I mean, I don't really think that like anyone does either. Like, no, you don't actually think that, a woman is an adult human female, right? Because like when you're watching, like, I don't know, like maybe for instance, let's see here, like Superman and you see like Superwoman. All right. Well,
Yeah.
you think Superwoman's a woman, but she's not an adult human female. She's a Kryptonian. So, like, why would you call her a woman even if she doesn't fulfill that classical definition? Well, maybe it's because attributes of Supergirl or Superwoman, like, would be conducive towards what is typical that of a female, right? And maybe that's a better way to define the term man or woman. It's just like holding to a gender identity or like particular traits in which are conducive towards or that being typical of a female. And maybe that's a better working definition of the terms compared to basing it off of a biological reality. But yeah, man, I am just kind of looking for like a debate before we're in here, so I think I'll move on. But I appreciate you.
Thank
for
you
coming
so
up and
much.
asking. Yeah, we're going to move on, everybody. Give us a minute to try to get that very last guest of the day up in the box. While we're getting that last guest up, let me thank a handful of people here. First and foremost, Randa, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo 24 minutes ago, saying thank you for all that you do. I appreciate you for the love, Randa. As well as Ali, thank you so much for the $35 on Venmo, saying another dono for cooking the homophobes. Ali, I really appreciate you for that love. Let's get 350 Ali W's down below in that chat. And Jesus, Emmanuel, with the $100 donation over on Venmo. Oh my lordy lord, Emmanuel, that is so incredibly kind of you. I want to see 1,000 Emmanuel W's down below in that comment section. Emmanuel says, thank you for informing people with facts and logic. Unfortunately, many lack the ability to comprehend. Well, you know, we're trying to change that figure day by day. Emmanuel, I really do appreciate you for that $100 donation, my man. That is so incredibly kind of you. As well as Lindsay with the $45 over on PayPal, saying, for my favorite educator, please keep doing what you're doing, Lindsay. I really love and appreciate that so much. Huge shout out to Lindsay and Emmanuel and Ali down below in that chat. I'd also like to thank here super duper quickly Sophia for the $60 donation over on PayPal. They say, hey Dean, I'm Sophia from Switzerland and I watch your live streams every day. I truly wish you the best. Thank you for doing what you do. Sophia, I love you. Thank you for the $60 donation and the very, very, very kind message. Show some love to Sophia down below in that chat. And we got a couple more people here. First and foremost, let's see. I can't read your name because of the text, but Anonymous, just because I can't read your name. Thank you for the $20 super chat on YouTube, saying love seeing a younger 20-year-old outperform people older than I am. Well, that's very kind of you. And honestly, I like that there's other people out there that are older that listen to me. It means the world to me. But thank you for the $20 super chat. Then Pineapple with the $10 and the Fire Bully with the 10. And then I'd also like to thank Fire Bully with the 50 and Aesthetic with the $50. Guys, let's show some love to Fire Bullet and Aesthetic down below in that comment section while we're getting the next guest up here. Fire Bullet and Aesthetic donated $50 each over on YouTube Super Chat. Fire Bully says they care so much about protecting the unborn children. What about the kids in school? What if you were that parent that had to go identify yourself, your children in a drawer at the medical examiner's office? I'm a guy, but I think abortion is healthcare, as you should. And yeah, no, the GOP is very hypocritical because they stop caring about that child the moment it comes out of the woman's body. Absolutely. And Aesthetic says, love what you do, don't ever stop. It gives me hope to see you do what you do. Well, Aesthetic, I really appreciate that. That is awesome. And then one last one here. Snipes with the $20 super chat saying, Dean, attended the No Kings rally yesterday in Yorktown, VA. This is where the British surrendered to the American forces in the Revolutionary War to free itself from control of a king. Thanks. You're truly a beacon of light. Wow, that must have been a really cool place to protest, Snipes. Very, very historical. Holy shit. Thank you for the $20, and I'm really proud of you for getting out there yesterday and exercising your First Amendment right. What's going on in Paranoid? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 39.
And why do you support the worst president of your lifetime, the man, the myth, the failure, Donald J. Trump?
Well, could I just first start by saying everything I say in this debate is my personal opinion, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice. The reason I support President Trump is because I absolutely despise the political ultra-left, and I think they're deranged and totalitarian. And
do you despise the political ultra-right?
Left.
What about the ultra-right?
Well, specifically the left.
Okay, but no, what about the ultra-right?
I'm on the side of the right.
Okay, but the ultra-right, those are the Nazis. I'm if we look at a political compass and we align all political ideologies and beliefs, you'll have your super far left, middle left, moderate right, middle right, far right, and then you have like that alt-right. And then the alt-right, the ultra-right individuals are like the American First Groypers that like Nick Fuentes, support Hitler, think that fascism is good, unironically so, and are like literal neo-Nazis. So neo-Nazism is like a belief that's propagated by the alt-right. So would you say in that same breath that you would despise the alt-right, just as you would despise the ultra-left?
I support Israel.
Okay, we're not answering my question. What? What kind of answer was that?
Is your question, do I despise...
What? That's probably like the worst non-answer I've ever received.
Okay, well, I don't. I understand why are you talking about Nazis in the sense of actual Nazis, like in
Actual
Germany,
neo-Nazis.
World War II, or are you
Actual
just talking
neo-Nazis is what
tribes?
comprises the
Hmm?
ultra-far right.
Okay. Well,
Definitionally speaking, that is true. The composition of this can be seen in America today in movements such as America First, as headed by figures like Nick Fuentes, okay, and the Groyper movement. Actual
I don't.
Nazis comprise
I
the far right.
I would say that I don't like Nick Fuentes. So if that answers your question, and
But do you despise the alt right as you despise the alt left?
no, no, I don't define
Okay,
the
so
alt.
what does the ultra left do that's worse than Nazis?
I think Nazis are being used nowadays by the left just to describe, like Trump supporters.
Okay,
So there's
so I just
big.
want to clarify that the ultra far left describing the average Trump supporter as a Nazi is more despicable than the alt right actually being Nazis.
Okay, are you talking about Nazis that are virulently anti-Semitic? Is that your definition of a Nazi?
Just neo-Nazi, like supporting and propagating the beliefs of Hitler as described in Mein Kampf and upheld by the state of Germany under his rule. Incredibly anti-Semitic. They think that the Holocaust was necessary for humanity. They think that there's a distinction in you based upon your phenotypical traits, characteristics such as color of skin, color of hair, color of eye, height, race, genetic composition, background, etc. All of these things, right? They're just white supremacists, neo-Nazis. They can form and idolize figures such as Hitler, Mussolini, and endorse fascism. Think that fascism is the best way to run America. Christian nationalism, at least their contortion of it, etc. So yeah, that's the alt right. Yeah.
You don't think it's a scale of like 1 to 10 where there's you would just consider it all or nothing? Is that your position?
I'm not so sure what the question you're asking me means. What are you asking?
Well, don't you think is in terms of anti-Semitism, don't you think there's a scale of it? Like there's very extreme, and then there's
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
not as extreme.
sure. So we could say that some forms of anti-Semitism are worse than other forms of anti-Semitism. However, I don't like promoting this idea because typically this idea is used to then contort some forms of anti-Semitism and promote them as acceptable, just because there's other anti-Semitic things that can cause more harm, right? So, although some anti-Semitic actions, beliefs, etc., can cause more material harm than others, typically when we promote that idea, it just typically is used as a rhetorical tool to justify anti-Semitism, right?
Yeah, as I was, early on, I was trying to explain to you why I despise the ultra left, and you
Okay,
cut me
but
off.
I know because you still haven't answered my question. Do you also despise the Nazis and the ultra right? Ultra right.
Actual Nazis, yes.
Okay, so then you despise both the alt right and the alt left.
But the extreme, not the right is not all anti-Semitic.
Okay, the right isn't fully comprised of Nazis. And just to clarify, what do you think the ultra left embodies? Because I'm sure whatever you think they embody is not true of everybody on the left. Like for
I'm not
instance,
talking
not everybody on the left is a communist. Not everybody on the left is a
not no, and
socialist.
I don't consider liberals. I'm not talking about liberals. I'm talking about this woke nonsense.
Okay, well, liberals should be
Okay,
woke. Okay, let's
now,
get that one straight, right?
okay.
But just to clarify that
I'm not proving.
not everybody on the left is a communist or socialist. Just like not everybody on the right is a Nazi. Now, I'd also say if you offered me be a socialist or be a Nazi every single time, I'm gonna choose a socialist. And in fact, my only disagreements with socialism are like maybe some slight pragmatic issues, but then my disagreements with Nazis are, well, they're Nazis. So the far left is significantly more preferable than the far right. In fact, comparing the far left to the far right is like pointing at like an adult that is going one singular mile over the speed limit to Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, I mean, I'd say you should despise the Nazis more than the socialists. So I don't understand why
the left was
why your views
to,
of the far left would make you vote for the right.
the left, not even the ultra left, but just the left, blue states were imposing totalitarian lockdowns during COVID-19 in 2020 and 2020 and 2021. But then the left does a complete 180 in the summer of 2020 and encouraged protesting and allowed chaos and riots. So I find that extremely hypocritical, to say the least. I think it's just awful. And also, too, I never got the C-19 vax, despite the totalitarianism of the political left in 2021. And so C-19 is a major source of resentment. Also, I would say what you've been talking about here a lot. I've heard you that
whose administration did that happen under?
The vax really rolled out right in 2021.
Who fast-tracked the approval of the vaccine for use by Americans?
Who was trying to mandate it?
Who fast-tracked its approval?
Who was trying to mandate it? Who wanted vaccine passports?
Who's trying to mandate the vaccine? Well, I mean, I actually don't think that we saw a majority of the left advocate for mandates. But let me ask you a question.
Was that the right or the left?
I said I don't think that we saw. I don't think that we saw a majority of the left advocate for mandation of the vaccine. However, I do think that a mandation in a lot of scenarios would be a good thing. Now, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. You're not going to interrupt me. You're starting to crash out because you're losing the debate. Don't do that here.
I'm not losing.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
The way that you lost was by saying that you voted for the right because you despise the far left, even though I was able to describe how the far right is worse than the far left, and you didn't respond. You got gagged.
You haven't even given me a chance to articulate what I don't like about the left.
And it's funny because you interrupt me to say that I've
given
you a chance to articulate as you're interrupting me, taking
tell me
my
when
chance away to articulate. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you pro-life?
No, I'm pro-choice.
Oh, okay. You're pro-choice. Well, I mean, then you would see Donald Trump's, support and overturning Roe v. Wade and giving the states the ability to restrict a woman's access to get abortion, which has led 66 million American women having restricted access to abortion as one of the most totalitarian, scary, government-controlling things that our government has ever done.
I'm disappointed that Roe v. Wade was overturned. Yeah,
But what has the left done that's more totalitarian than that? Because those are human rights violations.
Well, I think C-19 was the first example. I
want you to name the specific actions and the specific outcome that was more totalitarian than the right restricting upon the human rights of 66 million American women.
I mean, it's still available in states. But I agree with you.
That's why I said 66 million American women, not 160 million American women. It is not available to 66 million American women, and that is a human rights violation. So what has the left done? Now be very specific. That is more totalitarian than the right restricting the human rights of 66 million American women.
The left has imported the third world into Western civilization. From 2021 to 2024.
Remember earlier when we were talking about that far right? Remember earlier when we were talking about that far right? So when you say import the third world, okay, that's just a really racist way to talk about the 4 million undocumented immigrants that came into America in the last 4 years. So let me ask you. Let me ask you. Okay. Well, we know that the totalitarianism of the right that we just agreed on, its outcome that destroyed our country was 66 million human rights violations. So what is the outcome of immigration in the last 4 years that is worse than 66 million human rights violations?
It's the downfall of Western civilization.
I want you to qualify it. Don't give me rhetoric. Give me fact. Give me stats. Give me specifics.
Europe, and you look at Canada and you look at the United States, there were millions of people let into this country with no due process.
So give me the empirical outcome of immigration in the last 4 years with specifics that you think is worse than 66 million human rights violations. I don't want rhetoric. I don't want, destroyed civilization, society, tradition, etc. I want you to be specific. I want you to be very, 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 very specific. Give me the incredibly specific outcomes of immigration into America in the last 4 years, which you think is worse than 66 million American women having their human rights violated.
There were a lot of essays that have been committed, and other types of crimes too.
So crimes committed by immigrants, by undocumented immigrants. Did you know that you were 2.5 times more likely to commit a violent crime than an undocumented immigrant?
No, well, you're skewing that to when you factor in like inner cities. That might be true, but you're skewing it. You're intentionally
That's not. That's what's the misrepresentation that's coming from PNAS. They've been tracking crime rates since the 19th century. What we see is that in America, it is the case that undocumented immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes than natural U.S.-born citizens.
Okay,
and then also, I just want to point out the total amount of crimes as committed by immigrants does not trump 66 million, meaning that this wouldn't be as bad under your view or under. But once again, I want you to respond to the fact that undocumented immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes than natural U.S.-born citizens. How can you tell me that immigrants have destroyed America by being less likely to commit crimes? Are you saying that America is stronger the more crimes there are in this country? Are you saying that our culture is protected when there's a higher per capita crime rate? Are you saying that when we have people coming into America that are less likely to do these bad things, that we are no longer placing America first?
You don't think that all the third world being brought into Western Europe, that there hasn't been a crisis of SA?
Okay, so now we're talking about Europe. Wait, I thought that you're an American first patriot. What happened to America, man? I want you to respond to what I said, sir. You said that undocumented immigrants are destroying this country by committing crimes. 2.5 times less likely. No. You're 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes than natural U.S.-born citizens. And the cherry on fucking top is that you voted for a rapist. God, it's okay if it's a white man, but guess what? If your skin is brown, you're a third worlder that's eroding the fabric in which underlays this society. I don't care if you're 2.5 times less likely to do it. You're a deplorable POS that has set forth the president of an issue in this country today that is exponentially larger in weight and outcome than 66 million human rights violations. But if you're a white man from New York with over $1 billion in your bank account, you're the savior of Western society and the most powerful country on earth. And the difference is, when we're talking about undocumented immigrants, we're talking about likelihoods to commit violent crimes. As it relates to Trump, it's something that we know that he's done with certainty. So, holy fuck. Please respond. Okay, well, the racist is obviously stupid, okay? And for that reason, he doesn't know how to click the button in the middle of his screen to unmute his mic. I'll give you a little bit of a crash course. So what I want you to do, take your phone, click on the profile.
I'm here.
There you go. Take it away. Please respond to what I said.
Okay, the villainization of whiteness is the opiate of the ultra-left.
Wait, so I'm villainizing white people by pointing out the fact that Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist, but you're not villainizing immigrants by calling them third worlders and saying that they commit all these violent crimes even though they're 2.5 times less likely to?
Well, the reason, the villainization of whiteness, I'll give you examples. The summer of 2020 was.
Oh, I don't want examples. I want you to respond to what I just said. I'll repeat it because the racist is a stupid idiot that needs me to repeat myself a handful of times before he even knows what I'm saying, before he could even track the words that are coming out of my mouth.
You're just going ad hominem.
Once again. No, an ad hominem would be me discrediting your argument with the basis of your stupid character. And motherfucker, I did that for fun. The way I'm discrediting your argument is as follows. How is it the case that you could say I'm villainizing white people by pointing out the fact that a rapist is a rapist? Okay, but you're not villainizing immigrants by calling them third worlders and saying that they commit all these crimes, even though they're 2.5 times less likely to. That is a substance that I want you to respond to. So let's actually try to respond to what I'm saying now. Let's actually try to respond to what I'm saying. Also, for all the people in the chat that are like, oh, Dean, let him talk, let him talk, let him talk. Bro, his response was about as outside of the box and completely irrelevant to what I said as imagine I'm asking somebody why they support Trump and they say they have blue shoes on. Okay, obviously I'm going to interrupt them if they go on this tangent about how much they like their blue shoes when I'm asking them why they support Trump. Just like I'm going to interrupt and mute him and re-ask him the question when he's going on a tangent about examples of whatever the fuck he's talking about when I'm asking him a very specific question that he's not responding to. The very specific question, I'll repeat it for a third time, is how can you say I'm villainizing white people when I'm calling an adjudicated rapist an adjudicated rapist, but you're not villainizing immigrants when you're calling them third worlders and saying that they commit all these crimes even though they're 2.5 times less likely to?
Well, again, he was never convicted.
He was held liable for it, yeah.
Okay, well, you said convicted earlier, right?
No, I didn't. Bet money on it.
Well,
I dare you. I dare you to bet money on it.
That's
what I thought. Go ahead.
You're the problem with your generation, man. You're a real smartass. You know that?
Oh, dude, I'm gonna be as much of a smartass to you as I possibly can. Don't worry, it's my moral obligation.
Yeah. Well, if you'd let me explain, could I talk when and not be interrupted?
Yeah, for sure. As long as you could respond to the question that I asked you.
Okay. The villainization of whiteness can be seen in the summer of 2020.
Okay. See, now I'm going to interrupt you because you're not responding to what I'm saying. Now I'm going to interrupt you because you're not responding to what I said. I will repeat it. The question is as follows. How could you say I'm villainizing white people when I call an adjudicated rapist, but you're not villainizing immigrants when you call them third worlders that are more likely to commit crimes, even though they're 2.5 times less likely to commit violent crimes?
Okay. You think there's something inherently wrong with saying the third world?
Yeah, actually, I do think it is incredibly bigoted to do so. The reason why I say that is because you are dehumanizing humans. And I think that this language leads to the beliefs that you hold, as well as it leads to the mistreatment of immigrants in America. And for the reason that it leads to more bigoted beliefs held by bigoted people and real material harm, such as when we saw a fiance of an undocumented immigrant literally type into Google, is it okay to kill an illegal? I'd say so. Well, yeah. Now respond to what I said.
You think it's okay to have no due process and don't you think it's a national security issue just to let in millions of people with not knowing who they are?
Throw the flashcards away. You're not responding to the question I asked you.
Dipshit, I don't have any flashcards.
Oh, big boy's getting mad. Sit the fuck down. Come on, bro. Yeah, you do not get the right to raise your voice and call me a dipshit when the last time you got an education was maybe second grade.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is the problem with your generation. You're a smartass.
Like I already said, man, my moral obligation to be a smartass to racist. Now, are you going to respond to my question or not?
Your question doesn't make any sense.
God, no fucking shit. I don't think anything beyond Teletubbies and fucking pencil on paper and 5 words or less would make sense to you. Let me see if I could find a way to dumb it down, okay? My question, in a nutshell, is very simple. How can I be villainizing white people when I call an adjudicated rapist a rapist, but you're not villainizing immigrants when you use dehumanizing words to refer to them and then lie about their propensity to commit violent crimes to paint the picture as if they're very bad, violent people when they're better people that commit less violent crimes than natural U.S. citizens? Natural born U.S. citizens.
You think they should just be let in here with no just let in here with no system and given all kinds of free money and free housing. That's what you advocate?
Holy fuck, I feel bad now. I feel bad. How can you not comprehend? You cannot comprehend the question after me repeating it in 10 different ways, 10 different times. I feel bad now.
I don't care if
I feel bad. I feel so, I almost feel bad because like this guy, Jesus, seriously, he doesn't even know what I'm asking him. Okay, critical thought is just simply absent in this guy down here. He doesn't have the ability to understand the question that is leaving my mouth and going into his ears. He just can't. He can't. See, I listen, because my question included the phrase undocumented immigrant, the only thing that fills his 5 brain cells is freeloaders getting paid for by government. Like, dude, it's nuts. Like, my question had, I can't believe it. We'll try for a last time. My question is, how can you say I'm villainizing white people by calling an adjudicated rapist, but you're not villainizing immigrants by lying about their propensity to commit violent crimes and referring to them as third worlders, stripping them of their humanity to paint them as the villain, literally?
I don't care if I'm villainizing the third world. I don't care. And you don't think that the left or the ultra left villainizes whiteness? Is that your belief? What is the choice? What is the choice for? What is the choice?
Wait. Holy fuck! I'm so sorry, man. I gotta do something real quick. I gotta do something real quick. Give me a second here. Compose an email to myself. Compose email, add photo. Boom, bam. And let it load, and then send it. That's sending. Go on the PC, go to Google, type in mail.google.com.
What are you doing?
Man, it's too complicated for you. You want to understand?
Okay.
I'm downloading a picture from email. I'm such an asshole. Okay. Add source. Let's see here. Add source. I'll wait for it to pop up. My CPU is really low. Really slow, everybody. I need a new CPU. There it goes. Add image. Hey, what's your name?
You not want to hate the argument anymore?
What's your name?
Mark.
Bada bam. Boom. My name is Mark. I'm obtuse and my name is Mark and I'm really stupid. I don't care if I villainize or dehumanize humans because guess what? I'm an American patriot and on top of that, I'm white. Yeah, I'm a white American patriot. And because I'm a white American patriot, okay, well, if you're not white, I don't think that you matter as much as I do. And for that reason, I'm going to go be a jackass bigot, go on a TikTok live in front of like 15,000 people, lie about crime rates, defend a rapist while saying that rape is bad, while falsely assuming that undocumented immigrants are 2.5 times more likely to commit violent crimes, even though I look like I probably have 10 of them on my record.
What's the definition of woman? Define a woman for me.
God damn, you unironically want to be able to follow my definition, bro. Hey, I'm so sorry. It includes more than 5 words.
Define a woman.
Like I said, it includes more than 5 words you would not be able to track.
Are trans women women? Is there a drag time story hour for young children?
I mean, God, there's absolutely no way you would know if a trans woman is a woman because you don't know what a woman is. I'd say a pre-qualifier to knowing what a woman is going within a 5-mile radius of them. Fucking hell, dude. Fucking hell. I mean, seriously, you walk outside in the fight or flight response of a woman living halfway across the city reading a book and her loft kicks into motion. I mean, holy shit, Mark, dude. Okay, we got to do something about that haircut. I mean, what the fuck is that? You look like Jimmy Neutron minus the big brain. It's just empty. It's just empty space in there, man. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, we're gonna kick him. Sorry, that was really unproductive. But one thing I will say is I am very okay with bullying racists. So if your one takeaway from the if your one takeaway is about me from the stream today, is that I'm okay with bullying racists. And listen, if you tune into these streams, chasing intellectual wisdom, education, furthering this country, that's what I'll do 90% of the time, 95% of the time, okay? But listen, taking 10 minutes out of a 4-hour stream to make fun of somebody like Mark fills my heart with joy. Okay, everybody. But listen. That was probably our last guest of the day. I gotta thank a handful of people. Alania, thank you so much for the $50 over on YouTube super chat saying I'll bet my birthday money is trees of family circle. Is family trees a circle? That's funny. Thank you for the $50 super chat, Alania, as well as Annie with the $50 super chat as well, saying I clocked this dude the second I heard his weird C19 medical disclaimer come out of his shaky eye. Glorper ass mouth. Yeah, the guy was literally a part of the alt-right. But Annie and Alania, I really appreciate the both of you for the $50 over on YouTube super chat, as well as Coral with a $20 saying that was glorious. Yeah, make bullying racist great again. Make them scared, everybody. You gotta love it. As well as Alexandria, thank you so much for the $2 over on PayPal. I won't read it out loud. You got it. As well as JLC with the $10 over on PayPal for the support. I appreciate you for the love, JLC. Line of God with the $10 on Venmo saying, "Little nice job with Mark." Yeah, we had to give him a piece of my mind. Shannon with the $25 over on Venmo for taking down the racists. Yeah, you got fucked up. I appreciate you for the love, Shannon. Thank you for the $25. As well as Tyler with the $20 on Venmo saying, "I love your lives. Thanks for doing the work that you do." I really appreciate you for that love. That is incredibly kind of you guys. Now, everybody, it is 5:30, and unfortunately at this point, I will have to end. Now, I see a lot of people in the comment section spamming one more. If it was any day but today, I would actually be down to do one more. M Sharp, thank you for the meteor shower. I really appreciate you for that. But I did make plans to go get a dinner with my girlfriend this evening, and that's at 6. So I better go get ready, get myself looking nice. But I really love the fact that you guys want to see more debates. I actually do love that. So for everybody spamming one more, just know that I really appreciate you. It puts a smile on my face. But we are going to go out and end for the evening. Everybody, make sure to drop a follow on TikTok and a like and a sub on YouTube before you head out. And make sure to follow me on Instagram and join my announcements, updates channel over there, because that way you could get a daily notification whenever I go live. I've started to send out updates, and that'll give you a notification as an Instagram DM whenever I go live. So make sure to join that updates channel. You can find it on my Instagram by literally just looking at my Instagram story. I think I linked it in there. But we are going to go to an end for the evening. Let's see who's on live, everybody. Let's see who's on live. Let's find somebody to go raid and show some love to. Somebody in my YouTube chat is saying that wasn't a debate. Yeah, you win. That wasn't a debate. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was not debating the racists. I was bullying the racists. Oh, it looks like Adrian's live. Everybody, we're going to raid Adrian. Yippee! Okay, phenomenal. And actually, look at this. I'm going to go ahead and find a really easy way to get you guys Adrian. ADRIEN.JPG on TikTok. So if you're watching right now and you feel like watching some more debates, I'm going to go ahead and send you guys over to my friend Adrian's live. Adrian is live right now debating misogynists. She is cooking them up, asking the question, why do women need men to lead them? If you would like to go show her some love, please head over to what you see on screen on YouTube. Strange. And I'll also get it over on TikTok right now, everybody. It is adrien.jpg, ADRIEN.jpg. over on TikTok. Let's see here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. There we go. Turn on that text layout. There we go. All right. Everybody go show Adrian some love on TikTok. Spam Dean Raid down below in her chat. Watch her go fuck up some misogynists. I will see you all tomorrow. If you want an update when I am live tomorrow, once again, go follow my Instagram and join the updates channel. You will get an update every single day when I go live and a notification at the top of your phone screen. So make sure to go do that. I really appreciate everyone so much for the love and support today. It was a good stream as always, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I'm off for now. Peace and love, and have a good rest of y'all's nights, y'all. See you tomorrow. Go raid Adrian.